In this game, victory is a choice. You lose. You rebuild. You evolve. Or you're left in the dust. No, we are not done yet. This is where we earn our scars.
I bloody love this egg.
Every loss takes a piece of you. Until only the strongest parts remain. Keep moving.
feeling just right. Break through what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of use, release when I'm sinking a boost. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Break through what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of use, release when I'm sinking a boost. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Break through what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Break through what I wanna make do like. Break through what I wanna.
I mean, you can see Fafa continues to patrol and look to the left with the Kraber, but does not push too far. Nice shot with the 150. Now going to be able to push down and gets one knock, but have you now put your backside susceptible to being knocked as well, able to retreat back with the squad and able to get a reset.
Razi trying to play for a second, insane. Doing pretty well, the boys, even though they were only a duo this whole game. A nice Kraber shot just to get rid of the drone. They will swing this. There's only one man left standing. It should be an easy cleanup. Black hole go down. Dog Red now trying to find the solo Wraith, and maybe Razi goes outside of zone and not maybe give him a kill here.
As the high ground should be able to get an easy opening, but now with this play on the backside, there's a chance that Tong Bay could open things up here.
We need to be careful though, trying to be a little maybe too aggressive. Havoc though, nice cues coming out. Havoc looking to try and get a win here for game number 2. And as we can see, we still have all members left standing here, Q, for both these teams. Out comes the Maggie ball. It looks like they are going to move on up. Havoc does get the beautiful swap. Beautiful R9 shots. There's only one man left standing. And Havoc take game number 2 here on Storm Point.
From PXX takes the high ground, uses the Newcastle wall. Big shot from the Mastiff, trying to basically keep this squad down on the low ground, which could then in turn force them to take the fight with the duo and allow for PXX to play for second.
Out comes the evac. The Gibby's gonna move up. TYK clean up PXX. This should be a nice, easy victory for TYK. The kickstart comes out. They drop down. Arm now needs to try and stay alive. Crazy Kong can do crazy things. Hold up a second, chat. There's one man left standing. Crazy Kong trying to get the shield swap. What is he doing? Just shoot your PK. I'm pretty sure he has no health as well. And TYK will get the victory for game number 3. In the Kraber there for Razi, but we are now down to our final 3, and I don't like Veneno's chances right now with Wolves Esports still standing and looking right at him here in our final zone.
It feels like this should be Wolves' game to be able to win here, as both the other squads are on the other side, and they'll be inside of that bombardment as well. They'll be able to walk forward off of the back of that bubble, and it's just easy pickings. Wolves Esports are going to be able to walk away with the dub here in game number 4.
Esports clubs, that's one of them. Beautiful R9 shots, the caustic gas as well. It feels like this is finishing on the bridge. Like we said, Q, I feel like this might just be whichever team wins the heel off. I could be wrong though. As we can see, teams rotating down the bubbles, the walls, the teams trying to stay alive. Refrain now down as a solo. Wolves Esports with the Kraber in the hand. What the hell is going on?
Problem is, Wolves are going to be playing from the low ground, which makes this a little bit tougher here. As far as for this last fight, HAB NW tries to push on down. I think that should be enough to disrupt it, and yes, indeed it is.
Final 4 squad, and it is all starting to unfold.
S8UL, DCG, and HABNW. It's HABNW who technically sit on the high ground and who can't take pop shots at the two teams on either side of the low ground. The question is, do either of those two squads have a way to push up high? I thought maybe the Alter might be able to do so, but once DCG goes out, that gives HABNW the ability to push down that caustic ult, should help them take the dub.
Beautiful gameplay so far. Oh my god, Ahoy! With the beautiful hit by Kraber, trying to get another one. Needs to be careful. He's eating a little bit too much of that defensive bombardment, but this should be another HABNW victory here in game number 6, and they go back to back for ABC. is a sneaky little shot, and as we can see, that is going to be the one. Oh my god, Fifth nearly got Razi.
To the left, I mean, you can see Fifth continues to patrol and look to the left with the Kraber, but does not push too far. Nice shot with the 150. Now going to be able to push down and gets one knock, but have you now?
Doing pretty well, the boys, even though they were only a duo this whole game. A nice Kraber shot just to get rid of the drone. They will swing this. There's only one man left standing. It should be an easy. Here also, and well, Veneno with the Graver and the Alternator in their hand. Razi, oh my God! Gapwang goes down. There's only one more man left standing. Can he clean it up? Veneno, oh my God! Sits down.
Nino still being able to stay up on their feet, and Razi pinning across the way with the Craver. And that's another big shot.
There's not much real estate left when you have 9 squads. His accuracy at the moment with the Craver is just insane.
Last team. 1, 2, 3, go! Time. Kasar. Give me up. Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Apac South B versus C. This is the last one, Q, before we head into regionals. And there's a lot riding on it for a lot of these teams as well, Q. How are you today, though, mate, on this Saturday?
Feeling fantastic. Technically not Saturday for me yet, but yes, Friday night for me. But yeah, I'm up late. I am, well, I guess technically early. It's an early start for my day, but I'm excited. You mentioned it's our last regular match day before regional finals, and not only do we have teams who are still technically vying to try and get into regional finals. Obviously, for everybody else, it's also about placement for where you are within those 20 spots for the POI draft as well. And on top of that, even the teams who don't qualify, it feels like most of the teams in the bottom 10 still have a chance to make sure that they can avoid relegation and they don't have to fight their way back into split 2. So there's honestly so much on the line here today.
There is, and I mean, let's go and have a look at the 20 teams that are out here today as well. And we'll have a look at the overall standings in a second, but with the 20 teams that are out here, there's one team that I'm really looking forward to see if they can turn their whole 9 weeks really around, and that is Gen G. They have been not the Gen G that we know, Q, but they do have the chance to really turn that around quick smart.
It's been interesting to see how Gen G has adjusted to, obviously, a lot of the meta change. One thing we talked about last year, Stoney, was how they were kind of able to avoid really seeing a change to their composition through the legend bans, because we weren't seeing any of their composition banned until like games 4, 5, maybe 6, right? Whereas now Crypto goes out first. Maggie has been getting moved up earlier in their sense. Actually, we've seen some of our other aggressive teams in a couple of our regions really struggling. I even think about like Shopify over in North America, right? So Gen G still in a spot where they can make sure that they should be fine for regional finals, making sure that they're in the top 20. But when you talk about only 9 teams qualifying for LAN, sitting in 12th is a little concerning. Of course, you look at 8th through, we'll call it 13th even. We'll call it 14th with Titan Esports Club. They've already played. We'll call it through 13th because Team Ubi has also only played 5 match days. 59 points to 65. 6 points separating 6 teams is kind of insane.
I think what scares me for Gen G is the teams that are in front of them that still haven't played as well, that are out here today. Victory Esports, who used to be Kukoi. Edward Gaming, you have VK Gaming, we have PXX, Wolves Esports. There is still so many teams out here that have a game day left up their sleeve. You also have Ubi that are sitting just behind Gen G. You have Relove DCG, who are sitting just behind them as well. So, you know, it is, yes, they're safe for top 20, but it is very, very scary times for them if, you know, they really need to make it now to be in that top 9. When you go and have a look at the bottom 20 here, Q, and you look at the 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 teams, they are all playing today as well, right? But they need a pretty big day to be able to cement their spot into regionals as well.
Yeah, the only team in that bottom 10 that doesn't have a chance to really do much about their position is Inside the Ring. They've already played their 6 match days, but yeah, the other 9 teams, they've all got a chance here, and that's kind of where we were talking about. One, you've got a chance to at least avoid relegation, but at least for that 21 through 25, so those first 5 outside the bubble, they also still have a chance to be able to make sure that they at least get to regional finals, because that's like the main point, right? You get to regional finals, anybody can win on match point finals. So we'll take a look on the screen here when we talk about Dog Red, 2C1M, Phys6, Weibo, Tom Young-Kung as well. They've all got a chance, but as you can see on the screen, Stoney, it's going to be quite a fight today.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, and we're going off estimated point, right? So for cutoff, 55 points to be the top 20. So for Dog Red to get 55 points, they need a 3rd place or a 4th place, which is, as you know, not easy in a lobby that is this powerful, where you go Phys6, Weibo, and TYK. They need a 1st place or a 2nd place to at least get to that 55 point cutoff. So, you know, for those 5 teams, it looks like it might be a pretty tough ask.
It's going to be a tough ask when you do talk about for making it into regionals, sure. But when you do talk about for the teams who are trying to make sure that they avoid relegation, these are the 5 teams that have the best chance at it. So I think you're also got to keep in mind you're still fighting for that. Yeah, is a 4th place or better going to be tough for Dog Red? Sure. But if you get even just a 6th or a 7th, got my first one in for the day. That does mean that you're still in a really good spot when it comes to not having to fight through relegation, right?
100%. 100%. What we're going to do is have a look at what maps we are out here playing today for our last match day of Split 1 before regionals. And it does look like we are starting over on Olympus Q, ending on Storm Point.
I like it. I know one thing that we've talked about in the past, I know I've heard Nicewig iterate a similar sentiment. You know, Olympus offers a little bit different of a pace than compared to the other maps that we have in the pool. So to see that first should be intriguing, especially when we do look at those teams that sit in the bottom 10 that are going to be looking to have pop-off days. Maybe there's a chance that Olympus does end up being a little bit more wide open than what we have seen throughout the course of the split thus far. Because while it has been a little bit more of a fast-paced map, we have still generally seen quite a bit of discipline, especially for a region, Apac South, that typically in the past has been a region where teams like to fight. But again, keeping in mind that today it is the final match day, I feel like still anything's really on the table as far as what we see out on the server.
Yeah, I agree. We'll go and have a look, I guess, at the Olympus POIs queue, because that is where we're starting, and there is obviously the last POIs for our match days right here in front of us. And well, at the moment, it doesn't really look as much as different as we used to, but Gen G on the south east side today instead.
Yeah, I would say that one thing that maybe benefits Gen G as far as for their draft, at least as far as on Olympus, is I feel like in the past they've been surrounded by some of what you would consider some of the stronger fighting teams within the region. Whereas here, when you look around them, they are kind of surrounded by some of those squads that sit down in the bottom 10, which might be a good chance for Gen G to be able to get a heat check relatively early, rotating out of orbital cannon. Because while we do see teams rotating out of those POIs relatively quickly across all 4 of our regions, quite honestly, Gen G has been a team that even when zone pulls their way, they'll counter rotate out of zone and try to find some of those early KPs. So I think when you do have, again, some of those more vulnerable targets, which tough for Rendang, who currently sits just inside the bubble, sitting right next to Gen G there, they're going to need to make sure that they're watching their 6 for sure.
It's pretty heavy teams as well. When you look at Gardens Clinic and Grow Towers, you got VK Gaming right next to Weibo and Victory Esports. So a lot of real good teams around that east side of the map. And then you go and have a look, obviously, at Rift. That is where we usually finish here on Olympus. And Mama Clubs and TYK very close to each other as well here for game number 1 to 3 on Olympus. Well, we do have, after Olympus Q, we have Storm Point, which means we have more POIs to look at as well when we get to game 4 onwards. But this is what it looks like for today, with Gen G still choosing Cenote Cave. And I just feel like that POI queue is still, I feel like it's such a dead POI now. Yes, you get a lot of loot out of it, but if that zone pulls north, for Gen G, I just feel like they lose so much time now without that Trident.
I mean, you do lose time with the Trident, sure. I would argue, though, that it almost, I think, fits more perfect for Gen G. They're a team that's usually late to the party, right? And I think with no Trident, now you don't have to give away your position on the rotate. And it will mean that they do indeed need to be more really more disciplined when it comes to rotating fast if we do see those more northeastern zones. But I feel like that's still a good spot for Gen G, especially with the way that they've been playing. One thing I wanted to point out, though, actually, is despite the fact that this is our second map, when you look on both the left and right side of your screens, I think literally everybody prioritize their POI on this map. I think with, again, understanding the importance of today being the final match day, this is going to be, you know, really where the meat and potatoes is all figured out. Everyone wanted to really try and get their best POI here.
Now, there's one team that I want to talk about, Q, and that is Victory Esports. That is Kikoi, and they have had some amazing... Well, really, they're a team that I said, I'm pretty sure I said to you before the start of the split. I said there's one team that has been consistent Pro League but hasn't really done much with their Pro League, and that is Kikoi. But now, all of a sudden, sitting in that top 9, they're looking pretty good so far, and with their last match day today, they have a good chance to try and secure around that top 5, top 6 spot.
Yeah, I feel like they're one of the teams that will still be not necessarily safe going into regionals, but they can definitely put themselves in a solid spot where as long as you finish around that like 6-7 mark, you know, you'll be perfectly fine. But part of it has been kind of the consistency that I would say that we've seen from the trio, but especially VC. I feel like just consistently consistent. I don't know if we've never necessarily seen a pop off, but they've never been silent on a match day either.
No, very true. Very, very true. All right, well, we're not too far away from getting into game number 1, Q. As we speak, everyone is in the lobby. Everyone is ready to go. It does look like they're just waiting for one member from BKG, I think, to get into the call. But this is the last match day, Q. There's a lot riding on it, like we've gone through now. Everyone's seen the ALGS standings. There's a lot to play with here in match day 9. And, you know, I feel like it's a good chance to see which teams perform under that pressure, because today there is kind of a fair bit of pressure for a lot of these teams, especially if you want to keep your spot and you don't want to go back to PLQ and try and fight your way through again. Today's the day, and for those teams that aren't, yes, okay, we showed the vision before, and it was they need this to regulate, you know, for regionals, but they just need a good day to stay in that 21-22 mark, right? You don't want to be 23 under, you're going back to PLQ. Just consistency and that side of things, I feel like should be one of the main priorities for these teams as well. And I feel like Fizz 6 adding Lux, yeah, they've lost, I think it was Avisan, who's now with Ubi, but they did pretty well last week in match day 7, and I'm intrigued to see how they go today.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you make a roster change so late into a split, when you're able to go right into the next match day and at least see some level of success, you should expect to be able to at least be able to build upon that in some way, shape, or form. So I think especially for a Fizz 6 who sits at 34 points currently, they would have to have a pretty strong day if we do talk about getting into regional finals. But to at least make sure that you make it back for split 2 without going through relegation, I think that definitely helps relieve a lot of the stress, and they are in very good spot to be able to do that. Stoney, we've been chatting, we've been talking. How about we just go ahead and get down to it and get ready to take to the skies here? And I want to say big shout out to everyone who's been jumping in with us during the pre-show. If it's your first time through and you've come through and you haven't done so yet, hit the follow button down below. Let's get down to this, Tony. It's match number 1. You ready, buddy?
Oh, it's time. There's a lot that I'm excited for today. I'm excited that Olympus is first and we can get it over and done with and then head to Storm Point. And then I'm just excited that we're going to see which 20 teams are going to be battling it out next weekend for a chance to head to Paris. And that's crazy to say out loud, right?
It is kind of crazy to think about. We've had the changes. Everyone's ready to move forward with it. And you know what? Let's get started. No better way to do it than getting to the skies and dropping into our POIs. It's Olympus for game number 1. It looks like we could potentially be heading down south, and we do talk about, we mentioned for Team Genji, who this time around ends up dropping down south. We talked about the potential of maybe taking some of those fights with those teams to their west. Not sure if they're going to look to rotate there, which means potentially looking to rotate north towards some of those teams that also like to take a fight.
It's going to be a weird zone, this one. It has a chance to either go to Hammond or down to, yeah, that south side, but it is going to go Phase Driver Bonsai. So interesting game 1. Autobots, Wolves, Esports in very good spots to start here today, Q. And well, it's time to get it underway.
I'm so excited. Again, I feel like Olympus, there is so many questions as far as what type of pace that we see here. We've got quite a few teams that could really, I feel like, utilize a strong match number one when you talk about kickstarting momentum, especially for those teams that do sit inside the bottom 10. They haven't necessarily seen the success that they're looking for through the first, 5 match days? Why not maybe change the pace and see if maybe you can make some of those teams next to you a little uncomfortable. Teams even like Grape Soda or teams that sit kind of down a little bit lower inside of the standings. Maybe if you just, potentially play all in and just see what you can make shake here on Olympus.
Don't have a look. Autobots looking to rotate early here. Edward Gaming, closest team to them as well. So, as we know, a lot of cryptos early on queue as Rendang are trying to find their way in to zone as well.
I see an enemy over there.
Yeah, looks like we're going to be pulling more, as you mentioned, down towards that Bonsai phase driver area. So, I mean, for teams like Wolves, who are going to be already set up down in that zone, going to be really interesting for teams rotating towards them. Rendang already be able to find themselves an early knock and going to be able to get elimination as well. That's definitely going to be feeling good for one of our teams that starts the day just inside the bubble. Definitely always feels good to get that first point onto the board. As far as for Victory Esports, it looks like they got themselves, of course, the relatively aggressive new Axel that we've been seeing a little bit of. Will be interesting to see what they can make shake with it.
It looks like Great Soda. They're going to move in early here against Wolves Esports, and they already have one down. So we are going to go to No Name as No Name looks to rotate in. They do get one down. Looks like they will get two. And all of a sudden, Grape Soda might be getting eliminated here. First off the bat with Metro out of there trying to stay alive.
Tough. You land down at Bonsai Plaza. You see this zone. You're like, hey, we don't have to move very far. And then the first team you run into is Wolves. That's tough here. And now it's going to be all left to Metro to see if they can make something shake as the solo. The tough part is they're rocking the white tee. They'll be moving a little quick, may be able to, I was gonna say, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Instead, they're gonna find themselves right back into the lobby here, Stone.
Yep. Out they go. 19 squads now left alive. As we can see, teams starting to make their way to zone. We still have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left before round one has finished closing. And well, Wolves will be pretty happy with that start as well, Q. As we know, this is a pretty good spot in this zone. And to get an early win like that, now we obviously know this team, I think are 2 points away from top spot in the region once again after a split. So they're looking pretty good here today already early on.
Yeah, I mean, they dropped in down at phase driver, so they didn't have too far to rotate. They find themselves some early KP, and this is a team that, I mean, if you allow them to get kick-started early in game number one, watch out, which could spell some bad news for some of these other teams that are really looking to try and make something shake today, because when Wolves gets cooking, they're a team that can really sponge up some of those points. Mama Clubs, as far as for now, looks like they're just simply focusing as far as making sure they're looted and booted. VK Gaming, we know that they've already got themselves a ticket to EWC, right? Because they are holding, returning as those champs from last year, but they've had a pretty solid result thus far during the split. I mean, they're still in that top 9 currently, and it feels like with a strong finish today, they could be one of those teams that still goes into regional finals feeling like safe as far as that spot, even if they weren't going to EWC.
Back hole now, looking to try and stay alive as TYK look to move on up. YRV needs to be careful. The kickstart does come out to try and keep TYK away for a little bit. Black hole yesterday in scrims went absolutely insane, so it'll be interesting to see how they go out here today with their first altercation. But with 19 squads left, it does look like a lot of teams are pretty hesitant with this early fighting.
They better be careful here on this fight outside, because Gen G is counter-rotated and they are lurking in the shadows. So if TYK and Black Hole have a fight that take too long, Gen G will simply get to move on in and play cleanup duty. So We'll have to see if they do indeed decide to actually take that fight. It does look like Black Hole's going to disengage. Actually, all three teams on that side of the zone have all kind of broken away. Meanwhile, QWQ are getting some shots sent their way. However, they should be feeling relatively safe inside of phase terminal here. They're more than likely going to be able to regroup and just lock things down. Although, wait a second, 2C1M is pulling up.
Yeah, 2C1M looking to maybe join the party, but they are going to rotate back now. Kind of put themselves in the middle of a fair few teams here as well, though, Q, with Fizz 6, I'm pretty sure of a team close by.
That Alter, of course, looking to have the potential to play aggressive there if they do choose. As Silly Step Sis looks around the corner, does have that breach charge if they opt to send it across the way. I think for now, just looking to try and scout some information, figure out kind of a lay of the land, so to speak. You mentioned how many teams are in the area. The third party could very quickly get fourth and fifth party. And as much as you're looking to pick up KP, you could also find yourself back in the lobby. And we mentioned for Fizz 6, they are one of our teams that are really looking to get off to a good start here in game one.
Going to have a look at this zone, Q, and we'll see where it's pulling. And it is going to pull more towards the terminal area. So teams that stay in status array, they should be okay for now. See Gen G chasing down Weibo as well, but not bad going here. Ooh, we do have PXX all the way and Gravity Engine as well, but pretty slow goings at the moment here for our first game on Olympus.
Yeah, Olympus, we mentioned earlier, right? A little bit of a different rate of play, but still in the sense that we've got 19 teams. They've only lost one squad here early. Of course, as I say that, it's Gen G, more like Senji, pulls on up. First, not going to be found. Asia's going absolutely crazy, spraying across the way, ends up not, but it's going to be Dexter looking to clean things up, and Weibo Gaming's out of here.
Gen G getting the cleanup. I seen them chasing Weibo, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a full send moment for sure. Gen G Esports get the cleanup. No teams very close by. HABNW, the closest team by to them, but 18 squads still standing, and Gen G early on the board is always a good sign.
Good for them. It does look like, as much as we had talked about how they were looking at third party, they were chasing a team. There might be a squad that's chasing them here for now, and they both will be rotating here towards HABNW as well. Rendang also being in the area, so this fight that could very well be breaking off kind of on the outskirts of the zone here in just a moment could get a little spicy. But for now, Rendang, they have been able to lock down their building. Basri has also been able to get up to the purple shield as well. They'll be looking to play aggressive surely with the Axel. I'd be intrigued to see what they can do here as far as in this next ring.
They're trying to be aggressive with TYK, who are sitting above them at the moment, but with 18 squads still left alive, Q. We only have 25 seconds left of round 2 closing. There is still a lot of teams left out here with not much real estate left soon.
Not too many buildings, but you do have a couple of different layers. Kind of like a good, I guess you could say onion or buffet. It really kind of depends on what side of the conversation you're on in there. Fizz 6 is going to be launching some nades here and going to find some damage, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to give them the green light to push forward. Lux ends up falling with this knee, also ends up down as well, and it means that Mama Club should have the advantage currently in 2v1.
I think it's going to be a 1v2 situation here now. Fizz 6 maybe being a little too aggressive with that fight. Mama Clubs do get a reset, but it looks like Victory Esports looking to move on in. VC does need to be careful. The caustic gas comes out though from Waifu. Wait to see how VC plays this. Out comes the grenades here. We'll see the Qs coming out as well. Mama Clubs do get eliminated. Kissan's getting the cleanup. Out of all that, Fizz 6 now getting a chance to reset as well. 16 squads now left alive. As we can see, QWQ holding out Black Hole. It does look like they're little speedy legend here. Axel has made it in, so they're safe.
safe, but getting shots sent their way. I mean, they've only got the stairway to play around. Looks like they should be able to get a reset, though. Automods Esports in a tough spot. Gets hit with the EMP as T-Movie, who has pulled up. But T-Movie now working with, unfortunately, X-Bolts. Already haven't been fallen. Doom's also down as well, and it will be Ubi now out as well.
Black Hole now looking to get into it, and it does look like they are going up against QWQ, which means there's only one man left standing. It's usually always going to be
A competitor. Look here.
the Crypto. As we can see, Dog Red now moving on in. DCG, they're going to get eliminated. We are now down to 14 squads, so a lot of teams starting to fight here, Q. You can see teams starting to make their way in to this round 3 as well.
Really kind of expected things to start breaking down. We mentioned not as many buildings to be able to kind of tuck in between, which is why we are seeing fights like the one here with Rendang. Two teams trying to vie for some of these very costly real estate positions inside of this building. Rendang will be able to find a way to take down 7 RVZ, and now going to be looking to sustain on the stairway. We sat in with Black Hole earlier. They're still standing as a full 3, as is 2C1M. I think where 2C1M is currently, they've kind of been able to do a good job of holding the more northwestern side of the map, though.
As we see, Rendang getting the clean up now. The Edward Gaming coming in for the third party. Out comes the Axel gameplay. As we can see, the Qs as well. They're going to chase this man. He's pretty weak. And it does go down to the wing. The ring. As we can see there, though, it is all starting to pop off with teams fighting on the outskirts as well. As Gen G look to move in here, Q, to try and get some more on the board.
Yeah, the problem, though, is that you mentioned all the squads that are down here on this southeastern side of the ring. Gen G will be able to take out HABNW. Now the question is, do you continue to more counter-rotate where you know those fights are going or push towards the ring? It will be 2C1M, who now has to try and at least keep themselves up as a 2. It will be YY and G-God, who now will also be able to get their third back up. And if the Axle's up, maybe you can use that movement to get to safety.
We'll see Edward Gaming starting to get some more KP as well, but look who has joined the party. Gen G Esports. We said we needed a big game from Gen G. They are already cooking here early. 5 kills in the top 11. A lot of teams still left standing here with round 4 closing.
This is one of the teams that I felt like when Axel was released, I felt like they should be able to really find some big value. Seems like they've been able to do so, at least thus far, here in game number 1. I had mentioned earlier where 2C1M was. They're in that northwestern side. They've still been able to keep themselves isolated. They've got themselves a good chunk of the zone where they're at as well. Rendang now going to be left as a 2. It's Gen G that is pulled up, and Gen G, while they're also a 2, I think they're not going to be looking to back down. The problem, though, Zicky falls, Dexter joins them, and Rendang currently sitting in the number 1 spot.
I think they're getting third party, though. It is Edward Gaming, so Gen G were fighting 2 different fights, and they will get eliminated. Wolves Esports now looking pretty good as they know there's teams on this outside queue, and they're going to move in to try and clean it up. Wen now with the R9 in the hand, playing Caustic as well here for game 1. As you can see, the Res is trying to come out. They are going to get a reset maybe here, Edward Gaming, or the Wolves keep their foot on the pedal and try and get rid of another team with some more KP on the board.
Problem is Wolves not only have to worry about EDG, but Dog Red also pulling up on them as well. They're getting third party. If they're going to try and take this EDG squad out, they're going to have to do so quickly. EDG is now going to be down to try and send the EMP. Not going to have enough. Dog Red pulling in quickly here with the third party. They found the first knock. That should give them the green light. The kickstart comes out. That should help them wrap up the fight.
Here we go now. Gap Wang, Dog Red trying to stay alive. Victory Esports. Now, we were talking about them earlier, how good they have been so far in split number 1. And they are already in a top 4 situation right now with 5 kills on the board. G7 in the hand for VC. And with the unlimited ammo, they look pretty good.
Yeah, right now they control, that northeastern side of the zone. They ended up getting the pull over to C1M. They are one of the full 3 squads that are currently left. You do still have QQ who's left alive. That could be a wrench in the mix here for VKG, although you have the longest rotate. It feels like as long as Victory Esports doesn't overextend, they should be fine here, Stone.
Should be. That is the best
It's a
two
big
words.
should, but yeah, they should be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with 4 squads left alive, we're going to have a look at the map, and as you can see, Victory Esports really in the best spot at the moment. Dog Red, though, they do have teams on their left, so they could stop a lot of these teams rotating in, but at the moment, you'd say Victory Esports in the best spot for sure right now.
I'm gonna be really intrigued to see which direction QQ goes. So QQ rotates into the back of Dog Red, then all of a sudden 2C1M does get an isolated 3v3 here with Victory Esports, which looks like could very well be breaking down on our screens as we speak.
Oh, no.
And are they gonna be able to get the heal off? No, that's not gonna be the case. That might be just enough for 2C1M to push in and get some very costly real estate.
2C1M looking pretty good. They should be able to rotate in, behind the back here, but Dog Red at the moment do get one down, looking to clean up Victory Esports inside God spot. They did get down VC, the Prowler in the hand, down it goes Caustic, VK Gaming getting eliminated as well. All of a sudden now Victory Esports on the back foot with Dog Red looking pretty good.
Dog Red's looking good. The question is, can Dog Red keep a full 3 as they try and take down Victory Esports? Because if they don't, UC1M comes in and plays in custodial duty for basically free. The thing is, right now, is Victory Esports doing a great job of being able to hunker down inside of this building. Neither team is outside looking to extend. Nice swing here by Killpause, and that's going to be a big opening on 2C1M.
They should be able to clean this up. The kickstart comes out as well. It should send the Caustic into the sky. And just like that, 2C1M will get eliminated. This is going to be an easy Dog Red win here for game number 1.
I love it, right? You identify that the team that's inside Victory Esports is not a threat. You have to find the other trio, and Killpause, I mean, the experience really being shown. Able to find the wide swing, you find the first knock, and then you keep the consistent pressure so Fafa, FIFA, and Gap can pull up and continue with the wipe. From there, you pull up for the easiest cleanup from there, and 24 points, 12 KP on top of the 12 placement points is exactly what you were looking for if you're Dog Red.
Ooh, we did show the graphic at the start of the day. If Dog Red need a win to make it into regionals, really, or even just a top 4, top 5 situation here for this team. And starting it off like this is huge for Team Dog Red. We're going to have a look at the match summary and then the series overall. And as we can see, Dog Red with a 24-point game to start off game number 1. Victory Esports getting second, 2C1M third, VK Gaming fourth, and PXX rounding out the top 5. We're going to have a look at the series overall. And as we can see, Dog Red leading the way with Victory Esports, 2C1M, Wolves, and Edward rounding out our top 5. And I guess we all know which legend usually gets banned in game number 1.
Let me see it. Yeah, Crypto here, 19 picks will be the first one off the board. However, here becomes the question, and it's kind of this weird thing that we saw early on in the split with Axel, who was kind of that second most picked, or not Axel, Alter, who had been that second most picked legend in map number 1, who slowly kind of loses their pick rate. I feel like in Apac South, we've seen that a little bit with Axel, but we have noticed that in other region, Axel has started getting banned a little bit sooner. So I'm curious here, with this being the final day, how quickly Axel ends up getting taken off the board.
Well, Axel hasn't really been getting banned either, so that's the other crazy thing.
Right.
We may not see a ban at all as well, but as we can see, Dog Red getting the first win here on Olympus. We have 2 more games to go. That is a very good start for a team that has a lot of pressure on them today to perform well to get their spot in regional finals. And as we can see, for our top 5 kills, Fafa Fifth going to start us off with 7, No Name with 5, Dexter with 5, YY with 4, and Gatwang rounding out the top 5 with 3. And with the damage, well, Kilo on top with 1700, Fafa Fifth sitting second, Feng Chun sitting third, No Name fourth, and VC in the top 5. And that is how it looks here for game number 1.
I feel like that might be the closest our top 5 has been damage-wise. After a game number 1, I feel like generally we have seen like one player who pops with like a 2.5, but to see like 1.6 to 1.1 is kind of crazy.
Dogred rotating from the west into the center of zone to get that victory. So a pretty good game from Dogred considering where they're landing.
Yeah, not too bad, right? I mean, able to take care of I mean, you didn't have the longest of rotates, but you did have to rotate through a couple of decent squads to find yourself a pretty good position. And we talked about for a team heading into the day who essentially needs like, what was it, a top 3, right? If they're really looking to have a chance for regionals, to start off with the 24 points is solid. What they're going to have to do though now, Stoney, is continue to compound down that pressure, because I feel like so often we've seen teams get off to that hot start and then all of a sudden we look at the leaderboards come like game 4 or 5 and they're like down in the middle of the rest of the pack.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how it goes for these teams. Gen G, a pretty good start to start off with game number 1 Q. Considering we said they need to be aggressive early on, they did pretty well. The problem is, though, with Olympus, you get too aggressive, you put yourself into a situation where you can't get out of because there's too many teams on that edge trying to rotate into zone. And that's where I feel like they've really struggled. And I know it. You know, last year we were never having crypto bans, so crypto ban 1, game 1, they all of a sudden have to adjust again. Then usually the second or third game, Mad Maggie's banned, boom, they have to adjust again. We never had that problem last year. It was Mad Maggie or Ash with the crypto. They never had that problem, and now all of a sudden they're really having to change it up. It just feels like there's just that one step behind the rest of the field at the moment still. Even with that start, I just feel like, will we see that still in these next 5 games? I don't know. It's scaring me.
It is tough, but again, I feel like it is something that we have kind of seen across the regions as some of our more aggressive teams that generally in the past have been able to, I don't want to say thrive on the edge, because I don't think that necessarily gives them enough credit for being able to zone call when they need to, right? Yep. But teams who are able to, when they need to pick up the pace on those days where maybe they don't necessarily get the zones, they are able to fight on the edge and still pick up points. I feel like a lot of those teams are still trying to find a way to really adapt to the current meta. And unfortunately, Gen G are one of those who find themselves right in the crosshair, not just because of how things are going on the edge, but you mentioned also you add in, the composition as well. Unfortunately, the time for adjustments has kind of come to a conclusion here. You're now into your final day. We talked as much as they should feel comfortable to be inside the top 20 for regional finals, and are definitely a team that, no matter where they're at inside of that top 20, I think would be considered at least one of the favorites to still be able to win a match point finals lobby in the region. I don't think you want to have to count on that. So for them, they really do need to have a strong performance today to make sure that they aren't reliant on, some miracles come regional finals.
Talk about miracles. We're in game number 2 as we speak. We're about to see all the teams pick their legends here, Q. I mean, with this team, we watched them in Sapporo and they were amazing, right? They dominated and they get to finals. Obviously, it's a different Gen G, but they're just that team that plays with such confidence. I feel like they're one big game or, one big set away from just ripping apart the region once again. And I feel, they get it right today. They have next week. Obviously, they're not going to get dropped out of regionals, but they still have next week to have a huge event as well. Something that we have to say, I guess we haven't really brought up, for the teams that are in that top 9 situation, if a team that is in that top 9, if a team that's not in that top 9 wins regionals next week, that means that only the top 8 will then make their way to EWC. So, you know, it is stressful times for a lot of these teams out here.
And not to throw an extra, you know, what if into the mix, but let's say VK Gaming, who granted it's only one game, only was able to pick up 5 points, but if VK Gaming struggles today and in regional finals, if they're also not inside that top 9, again, remember, they're automatically invited as well. So all of a sudden, VK Gaming has a rough last couple of days. You have a team outside of the top 9 also qualify by winning regional finals. Now that 9 spots gets trimmed to 7, and those teams that are just inside the bubble start sweating a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it so exciting for me, is just how many different circumstances could happen, right? It is all could at this point and time. Well, with game number 1, we did have 14 Axles picked and 11 Caustics as well in game number 1. So it'll be interesting to see which legend gets banned here for game 2. We have seen a lot of Mad Maggies get banned. And also a lot of Valkyries, as we know, a lot of the legends composition changes each game here in Apac South.
But here's what's interesting. The zone looks to be heading Summers University-ish, along with a little bit of Grove Towers, kind of like that little zone in between. That's right down the direction of Gen G. Generally, throughout the course of this season, they get a zone sent their way. We see them counter-rotating and still playing more of the edge. However, you move in here early, maybe you can catch some teams that are also rotating quickly and finding some fights. So I'm going to be intrigued to see what Gen G opts to do as far as for that. But EDG seem to be already getting shots sent their way, and sitting on 3 white tees, it's VK Gaming who's looking to take a fight here, and they've got the advantage. They got 3 blues.
Yes, teams are starting to make their way to zone as well. So VK Gaming setting it up nice and early. I do like where they are as well. Do need to be careful, obviously, with the Mad Maggies that are out here. Victory Esports playing the Watson Axel Mad Maggie comp as well. But we still have 20 squads left standing here, Q, early on in game number 2.
Interesting as far as with this zone. I mean, obviously, we know those towers offer, you know, like multiple levels. And there are some of those surrounding buildings, but I feel like the buildings don't offer the most cover. Still able to find ways to nade out and stuff. So how much early fighting are we going to see is still yet to be seen. We saw that Dog Red was able to find a really strong start to their match day, 24 points. We'll keep an eye on them through match number 2, or sorry, through game number 2 here, and see if they can continue to build upon that. We had talked about at the start of the day, teams like Rendang, they currently sit just inside the bubble. You feel like if you can continue to pick up that 5 to 8 points a game, they should be fine. Wolves, though, they seem to be in a tough spot.
Yeah, they're in a very tough spot here, as it looks like Autobots are looking to move in and be aggressive. The best thing about this right now is that the walls come out at the right time, but it does seem like Autobots may be in a little bit of trouble themselves, as teams are trying to find a spot to play here early on in game number 2. And, well, does look like Autobots and walls will just have to coexist a little bit here along the way.
The good news for Autobots is you do have the Watson, right? So even though the doors might be blown off, you do have the fences to help lock down the doors a little bit to keep those teams from pushing through. You also have the pylon to help, we mentioned, as far as some of these buildings easy to get naded out in, so the pylon will help them out a little bit as far as that goes. Looks like Fizz 6 could be in a little bit of a tough spot. They've already found themselves short at least a player who has gotten knocked, and BCG looking to play aggressive.
And they look to be on the front foot here. Rowie with some beautiful nades. Sorry, that's Shayo. Moving on in, DCG, and it does look like Fizz 6 might be in a little bit of trouble here already in game number 2. But with those Qs, they get themselves into a pretty good spot. We just need Witness Me to be safe as well. And it does look like DCG, well, they're going to let him live for now, Q.
Ain't no sense in pushing down the hill and giving away your position, so unfortunately not going to be able to clean up their kills, but they are going to be able to at least you know, take that little bit of damage they found and help them upgrade their evos. And now at this point you just kind of prioritize rotating back esports zone. We had talked earlier about these two teams trying to coexist, and while, yeah, we have mentioned throughout the course of the split that it feels like in the region teams have gotten better about that whole coexisting things, the Wolves, whenever they smell blood, they're going to go on the hunt, and surely knowing that they're one of the big dogs in the lobby, they're going to look to pump out their chest with that team next door.
Yeah, pretty scary team to be next to, that is for sure. Wolves, the best team in our region at the moment. Looking to just take their time, but as we know, there's change their mind pretty quickly here, Q, as well. If they can get a down or even just some good damage. But with 20 squads left alive, we have 20 seconds left of round 1 before it starts to get into round 2.
Way that you say that they are like the best in the region so loosely, I think some of the players from SAUL might want to have a conversation with you. But yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see how things play out over the course of the next 2 weeks, because it does look like they should be able to at least take that title over the course of the day. We talked about for VK Gaming. They are one of our squads that we know for sure gets to go to EWC, and right now sits inside of the top 9. I think for a lot of the other teams that are inside the top 9, they would like to see this VKG squad still be able to have maybe not a pop-off day, but a decent enough day where they aren't taking away one of those guaranteed spots.
Here we go, Fizz 6 now looking to try and stay alive, or they tried to get to the queue. This is going to be a great soda push. Loki getting some beams here. Does look like they're going to chase the knock. Does need to be careful though, as teams are getting some shots down. Metro gets down 1, gets down 2. There's only 1 man left standing here for Fizz 6, and Metro understands that. He's gonna go slide on through, clean that up, and that will be Fizz 6, the first team eliminated here in game number 2.
Problem is, you lost a player, and 2C1M has pulled up. They haven't been able to find where the duo is at up on the rooftop, at least not yet. But when they do ascend up to the high ground, it's going to be a 3v2, and 2C1M finds the first dog, and then they find the second, and that does mean Grape Soda is now going to be gone. But we always talk about the problems with third parties is, well, the third parties quickly become fourth party, especially when teams like Gen G are lying in the shadows.
Yeah, we'll need to be careful though. It doesn't look like they're going to be too aggressive. Beautiful push here by TYK though. The R9 in the hand. Sato gonna drop down and clean it up. 1 man down, 2 man down. Sato gets a 3-piece, and TYK get rid of Black Hole. We have 17 squads left standing. Let's go and have a look at the zone no Q and see where everyone is playing here for game number 2.
Remember, can you keep a look at your screens here, chat? Gen G did land at Summers University. They feel like they should have had Prio in this zone. Instead, they're out on the hunt, and unfortunately, they haven't really been able to find much, at least not yet. However, you do got to give credit where credit's due. They are still embracing their identity. If that's going to be what you feel comfortable doing, why play against the grain? QWQ. However, they found themselves at least a decent spot. They're looking to try and maintain it for now.
Rendang taking their time here as well. Let's go and have a look back at Wolves Esports and Autobots. How are they going? And well, they're still doing the same thing here, but for Autobots, they had more of an impressive wall when we were here last time, Q. I don't think there's much left to it at the moment, so just trying to stay alive as Wolves Esports look to keep the pressure on here as well, with round 2 about to be fully closed.
One piece of wall, you don't have a pylon, you've probably used up most of your heals as well. We talked about how they would have felt all right about their position earlier. Autobots probably starting to sweat just a little bit here. And I wonder at what point do Wolves Esports decide to send? It looks like maybe a new wall has been dropped, however, and maybe that will be just enough to keep them at bay for now, but they'll continue to apply pressure, which just continues to make this Autobots Esports squad uncomfortable. You can even see here now, we're already down to about half of a wall of the new one that they just placed.
Yeah, this is just not much fun really, is it, for this team? I feel like Wolves Esports are just waiting for that one chance to swing and send this. Obviously, you don't want to overcommit, especially in the position that these boys are at. 17 squads left standing. Round 3, 45 seconds away from closing. Not much room going to be left here soon in these final stages.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's worth noticing or worth noting for Wolves Esports is like you're using a lot of your ammo. I'm curious as far as there's probably not going to be much left on the other side, even if you do end up winning that 3v3. What's that going to put you in as far as positions when you do, like you say, end up rotating in relatively late? We saw 2C1M have a strong start as far as in game number 1. They picked themselves up a couple of KP here as well, and they're slowly looking to make their way towards zone. The problem is it is DCG. It does sit up on the other side, and DCG, we saw them earlier. They were able to at least upgrade their Evos up to the blues, but unfortunately haven't been able to move up past that, which does mean 2CM technically at a slight advantage here.
Kilo getting some downs from afar, which is impressive. He got it with his alternator from where he is at the moment. We're going to have a look though. It does look like TYK looking to move in as well. Looks like they forced VK Gaming to rotate out here, and they're in some serious trouble queue as VK Gaming try to get away, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to as TYK swing the corner and they get rid of VK Gaming here in game number 2.
Hit him with the Dikembe Mutombo finger wag. You think you're gonna run away from me? Not today. VKG's gonna be out of here. We talked earlier about these towers and how they offer the different levels, but not really offering much coverage. And that's kind of shown as in the fact that there haven't been very many teams that have stacked up upon one of another. Now, we did mention earlier as Gen G had worked their way away from where the zone had moved. Now, Gen G finds themselves on this southwestern side of the zone, and they're kind of isolated. So if they do push up, they'll have to first find their way through Dog Red, but from there, they can just kind of slowly walk their way in, depending on how those 3v3s work.
Victory Esports looking to maybe sneak around the backside here and get rid of HAB and W. Now, this would be an all-time rat play if they can get this. As we can see, VC taking his time. The Cossack traps are very close by as well, but HAB and W, are they just AFKing as well in this building, waiting for this to happen? I feel like they are.
Give away any sound notifications. Maybe just allow for someone to walk right on into the own trap itself. They know that there's still a lot of teams left alive, and don't want to give away too much information. We talked about the teams that are left alive. That does mean for Mama Clubs with such a far rotate, they're going to have a lot of distance to cover with a lot of people looking their way. It's DCG who's looking to add to their tally here as Edward Gaming goes out in the 14th spot.
The Gaming getting eliminated. TYK now take Edward Gaming's position and look to move in to Godspot. Well, underneath them was DCG that were being aggressive and got some more KP on the board as well. With 13 squads left standing, Q, we have one team out here with 9 kills, and that is TYK at the moment. We've still 13 teams left out here.
Just to see how much they can continue to compound down what's been a strong game number 2 for them. They do have a couple of teams with them, however, by this tower. Unfortunately, I was going to say you can't push down to the lower side because you're going to be giving away the first sort of angle, and DC does get put down. Dogford and QWQ both going to be eliminated as this 4th ring continues to close. More fights will continue to break out like this one here with TYK. Shots getting sent across, and it will be Cassandra who gets knocked.
Mama Clubs getting eliminated as well. There's only one man left standing here for Victory Esports. They get eliminated, and we now have 8 squads. So a lot of teams got eliminated in that situation, and Gen G looked like they got 5 kills with all that happening as well. We have 8 squads left standing here with a lot of Apex left.
So a lot of Apex left, but the problem is there's not very many buildings left. And these last couple of fights are really going to be about who can shoot their guns better. There's been this fight going on this side for quite some time. Well, you know what? Gen G says, we're done seeing y'all just poking and prodding. We're going to actually come in and start killing some folks. The first one on is going to be Autobots Esports. Now they look to be able to reset behind this Newcastle wall and will now have to take this fight with Wolves.
Gen G getting some KP. Wolves do move back to get a reset. It does look like maybe they want to be aggressive here again. Have to wait and see how this is going to work out. I don't like it at all. And we can go and have a little Weibo Gaming. They get rid of HAB and W. I'm missing so many fights at the moment. We have 6 squads left standing. Ubi trying to stay alive as well. But it does look like maybe Wolves Esports looking to move back in here on Gen G, but with DCG on their head, both teams very hesitant to make a play.
I mean, so these two teams here technically have the shortest rotate, but they have the most dangerous rotate because of the team that's technically next door to one another. So meanwhile, TYK over at their tower, they'll be able to at least start poking and prodding, but this fight over here does start breaking out. Asia steps right on through, sprays away with the car, is able to find the knock. The problem with Zicky and Dexter both gonna get knocked and sent down, and Gen G gets sent back to the lobby in the 5th spot.
Yeah, they get eliminated. DCG now getting a shot in the back as well. Beautiful shots there from Sato. 7 kills for the man at the moment. He's on the hide. He can try and clean this up. They don't have much left to play up here though, Q, so they will need to drop and be aggressive. Devo in the hand. Yuck, only left man standing is Arm, but Weibo Gaming looking pretty good at the moment. Also though, guess who else is still standing out here, and that is Wolves Esports looking to move in and get their first win of today, with both teams now missing members. Well, Weibo Gaming down to a solo and TYK as a duo.
No name on the Axel too. That's a scary thought. The movement on that player there could be very, very scary. Jay ends up falling, so Weibo out in 3rd. Wolves just have to pull up and play cleanup. Taking to the sky though is the Valkyrie, and it will be just the one last player, and it's just an easy hunt down for the Wolves as they'll come out on top in game number 2 and put themselves in the #1 spot 2 games into our final match day.
What a game by Wolves. Considering that they didn't do a single thing until the end, they end up with 10 KP and a victory. They did not move, and they still somehow figure out how to find 10 players to kill in that final part of the game. Well, Wolves Esports back on the winning side of the board. And I mean, it wasn't going to take long usually, but game 2, that's pretty quick.
Poor Autobots, man. Like you technically get the zone call, but who pulls up right next door is it's Wolves. And who's the one that disrupts your ongoing sort of isolated fight but Gen G? That's a big feels bad, bruh. And after a good call, you end up down in the 8th spot with just 2 points in match number 2, but 22 points from Wolves Esports. So that 18 kills from TYK though, to be able to find 27 points for them is very impressive. That's some spicy soup.
Go and have a look at the series overall after 2 games, and well, Wolves Esports going to be leading the way, and TYK sitting 2nd, Dog Red 3rd, Victory Esports 4th, and Gen G put themselves into the top 5 as well. We'll go and have a look at which legend is getting banned here for game number 2.
Actually really curious. It felt like this was probably going to be, okay, maybe not as close as I thought. All right, yeah, Mad Maggie's going to be the second one off the board there with 17 picks, and this is where we were talking about. Alter, I think, was what, 13 or 14 picks in match number 1, a little bit less this time. Or we're going to continue to see where Axel sneaks on by while being the 2nd or 3rd most picked legend throughout the day.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting... do you know, I know everyone says that Axel's been getting banned in scrims and blah, blah, blah. I just got a funny feeling that she's not going to get banned at all today, because we're going to see... I feel like we're going to see more Valkyries now come into play, where we're going to see maybe Valkyrie get banned in a game 3. It's going to be an interesting set of games. But as we can see, map scene right there, Wolves Esports getting the win here for our Olympus. gameplay. We have one more game left on Olympus Q, but we still got to go and see which legends are out here absolutely farming. And well, No Name has 12 kills after 2. Sato with 8, Fuffa5 with 8, Dexter and Asia both on 6, and with the damage, well, Jay, best first letter for a first name, as we know, and he has 4,181 damage. Fuffa5 second with 3,538. No Name sitting third, Bolan fourth, and Kilo in the top 5 for our damage. Let's go and have a look at the Olympus POY and see exactly where Wolves Esports are landing for that victory in Gardens. And I mean, it feels like everyone on that western side of zone is just getting some pretty decent rotates in.
We've had some good rotates. We've had two wins technically from that southwestern quadrant, right? You figure Dog Red with game number 1, Wolves with game number 2. I guess that means, who knows, maybe PXX due for a third game. Actually thinking of PXX has been kind of quiet today, but yeah, pretty solid spot for them. Didn't have to move, I mean, awfully far. And for them, able to capitalize and get a big game, has them sitting in a good spot. We talked about for them, we're more than likely going to be moving themselves up into the top spot when we talk about overall for the course of the split. And it feels like after just one big game, even if you don't finish like top 3, you still only need, what was it, like 9 points or something like that to move past S8UL. So you feel like you've already put yourself a good chunk of the way there.
As we can see, the POIs here for game number 1 to 3. We do have Storm Point after this one, Q, and so far so good for a lot of these teams that are out here. And you know, we're going to have a look at the ALGS standings one more time. And there's a team that we talked about before the start of today, Q, and that was Dog Red. So far so good after 2.
So far, so good after 2, and TYK, who also would need TYK would for sure need a win. We said Dog Red could probably finish like within the top 3, but both of them currently sitting inside that top 3 means all of a sudden that conversation that we were having for those last 2 spots gets really interesting, especially if they can continue with their momentum here for this final rendition of Olympus. We do now really kind of want to be keeping our eyes on the likes of Rendang and HABNW, who have both, well, I would say Rendang hasn't had a decent day, but HABNW has had a relatively quiet day after having a strong last performance their last time out.
Yeah, and I have to agree, but it's so, I don't know. There's teams like TYK. We talked about so much about TYK last year in Split 2 because they were so bloody good in Split 2 last year. Before, obviously, we have those changes within the seasons sometimes with that update. And when we had that update in between Split 2, something happened with TYK and it kind of just cooked their whole situation. But Gen G, I feel like it's been the exact same thing since the update of mid-Split 1. So, you know, we're saying how good Team Orchid are, right? Dog Red is basically Team Orchid, but we've taken Kilo away from the team of Orchid and put a Flow, and now we put Kilo over here with the team of Dog Red, and at the moment they look really good. And if they can make regionals, I feel like that's a team that can make a lot of noise next week.
They are a team that like really could be the spit and image of like all you have to do is make regional finals to give yourself a chance for land, because yeah, they are definitely a team that could ride the wave of momentum and one benefit from the fact that there is only the one there's only the one day this week, right? That was last week where they had the back-to-back. But not just that, you'd have a whole week to prepare, but to be able to feel good about how you were able to come down the home stretch as far as with especially a Dubaruski here today. But you know what? We keep talking about the last drop in here for Olympus. How about we just go ahead and get down to it and take a look as far as the composition. We had mentioned maybe seeing more Valkyries on the board. That definitely seems to be the case. Also, seeing Newcastle showing their face a little bit more than we've seen thus far on the day here in game number 3.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Going to be an interesting one. I'm intrigued to see who gets banned here in game number
It looked like
3.
Valkyrie, but I could be wrong on that.
I feel like we may see a Valk because Valkyrie is just so... She's so strong in a map like this. And, well, it does look like we might be heading again towards the eastern side of zone, which we know Gen G really don't care if it ends on them. They will still most likely try and make their way over to phase driver.
As I say, the last time that we had seen it moving more towards Summers, I think they had pulled as far as Hammond Labs, and I think almost up towards Turbine at one point. So, yeah, definitely a team that we know if they're given zone, they're not going to be too concerned. Instead, it does look like going to be more Grow Tower Gardens area. So teams like a VK Gaming, who went out relatively early in game number 2, sitting down at 5 points, they will be one of the squads that will get Prio alongside Weibo Gaming and Victory Esports, who both had relatively strong performances in their second game.
We'll go and have a look at VK as they landing in Gardens. Have a pretty good spot here to be able to set up early on. VK so far only 5 points here after the first 2.
Wanted to correct myself. Victory Esports was the team that only ended up walking with 2. They had a strong game number 1. They were the ones with the unfortunate standoff with Wolves for so long, and then you get third party by Gen G. I mean, come on, help a brother out. But let's actually get into it. We talked about Weibo Gaming will be one of the teams that will get Prio as far as for zone this time around. Black Hole has been one of the teams that have been playing relatively aggressive. I feel like they've been taking some earlier fights thus far on the day. And this time around, it's with Fizz6 who have been on the struggle bus thus far here today.
Yeah, I don't like their chances here. It looks like Black Hole are going to keep their foot on the pedal. Down goes one. There's only one man left standing. Okay, the EMP off the bubble will get the job done, but there's only one man left standing. XX FPS gonna try and clean this up, and Fizz6 may be the first team eliminated again here in game number 3.
Hey bro, it's not fair. This dude's got a jetpack. Gonna be trying to chasing him down here as it is the 2v1. Trying to find this last pesky solo, and oh, there it is. It's gonna be enough. Nope, that is not the knock yet. Not quite enough. Was very close to trying to find him, and man, this last solo being pesky, ain't they?
Oh yeah, Edward Gaming though getting eliminated, so does look like VK Gaming getting rid of the boys here early on. Gen G now looking to get into a little bit of action as well, as they look to maybe play zone here early in game number 3.
Is this Gen G playing zone? Yeah, we did end up seeing though that they did end up going out as well on that second team out. Great Soto now going to be pulling up, and they're trying to find themselves some early KP. They've had a relatively quiet game 1 and 2. Metro will be able to send those across the way. Now tries to wide swing with the 9-9. I think finds a crack onto 1 and looking to try and find a knock on a second.
Down goes 1, down goes 2. This may be a grape soda cleanup on HAB and QWQ. QWQ will get eliminated, and Metro getting 2 kills there, but are they safe? No, they are not. It is Wolves Esports, no name, coming in with that Devo and the Valkyrie Slam here in game number 3, and all of a sudden we got a little bit of scrims about this.
We said that Olympus does offer a little bit faster of a pace, and this is sort of what we were talking about, especially as there are really a couple of teams that have been hunting along the edge, but we mentioned how otherwise there have been teams that have been moving more towards zone, one of which is Gen G, who could very well be the next team that Wolves has to rotate towards, as long as Gen G doesn't move from where they're at. You had mentioned how you thought it was HAB and W going out earlier. It wasn't them, but they will now go out in the 16th spot as well, so they also will earn no placement points.
Yeah, I was seeing so many names on the right side of my screen. I was like, oh no. But QWQ, HAB, and W, we've got Grape Soda, Fizz6, and Edward Gaming all eliminated here early on already in game number 3. And well, Grape Soda feels like they're trying to get it going. They just haven't had much luck here so far in game 3, with majority of their kills coming from Metro's. Majority of their points coming from Metro's kills. So
Let's charge that way.
haven't had much chance to make it in that top 15 for some extra points as well.
I feel like we have seen them find decent openings, and whether it's a third party that pulls up or just an unfortunate inability to clean up the rest of the fight has just not really allowed for them to build up much momentum. Some things to build upon maybe, but unfortunately for them where they're sitting, with them now being out for half of the lobby, will be pretty tough for them on the scoreboard. Black Hole looking to play aggressive. Stepping through here is XX, and going to be able to find one, and that's going to be Mama Clubs removed and sent back to the lobby in the 15th spot.
Black Hole getting the job done there. PXX looking to rotate in as well, just getting the juicer with 14 squads left alive. We'll go and have a look at round 2 in a second, but 6 teams dead here in round number 1.
Definitely interesting to see, as it's been a lot of early fighting. You've got now 2 teams that are relatively deep inside the zone, one of which being PXX, who we had just sat on board with, who have honestly had a relatively quiet day, and then you also have Black Hole. Otherwise, most of the teams have found themselves some sort of real estate here towards where this zone seems to be heading between Grow Towers and Garden. Dog Red has already found themselves one of, I'd say, probably the better positions, especially they've got one of those towers locked down. And remember, for them, they're looking to be able to capitalize on what's already been a strong start here on Olympus. Honestly, they could very well be putting themselves far ahead most of the pack here by the end of game 3.
Gen G, we're just as surprised as everyone else as they're trying to figure out where this zone is at the moment. Wolves Esports looking to try and hold the exact same spot they held for about 6 rings in game number 2. With 14 squads left alive, there is a fair bit of real estate left to play here for these teams. We still have a minute left here, Q, before round 2 does start to close in though.
A little bit of time for our team to figure out their approach, that's for sure. I'm sure for some of these squads would like to use this next 45 seconds to at least start to upgrade the Evo a little bit. That's going to be the good news for the teams like Gen G, who have got a sniper and has one of those, marksman rifles in one of the hands to be able to try and poke and prod at a distance. But the first thing is making sure that they're at least fully healthy in case anyone pushes on their current position.
14 squads left alive. That's crazy. You see VK Gaming is still in the same area as well. TYK, the closest team to them at the moment, but look like we're not going to see much action here, Q, until around round 4.
Yeah, I mean, most of these teams have found themselves, whether it's the towers or the buildings that kind of lie in the shadows around it. No one's really having to coexist in buildings, just more playing next door to one another. And since there are already so many teams down here, it's not like you're really going to be trying to knock on your neighbor's door, because you don't want that third party to pull on up. So while we might have seen that quicker pace, while we saw those first 6 teams sent back to the lobby relatively quickly, we'll have to agree. I feel like other than maybe a potential fight between Wolves and Gen G, depending on just how far Gen G has to rotate up north in the 3rd ring, honestly, there's probably not going to be too many fights here for the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Head that way.
No, not really, unless Dog Red decides to get a little bit aggressive here, but it does look like Killer is their way away from his crew. Does need to be careful though, because I'm pretty sure that is Gen G shooting from afar. And it is Dexter with the longbow. Dexter on the Gibby. Impressive as well here, but they aren't in zone queue. They will need to be aggressive. And like you said, the closest team to them is Wolves. And if anything, it might be what they need to do here early on.
Yeah, they won't need to push just quite yet, right? This building has like the edge of it inside of the zone, but what's going to be really intriguing as far as the pull into the next stream, because the building is not inside of it. Wow. And yeah, they'll have to at least move past Wolves And not only does Wolves building that they played last game going to be a really strong position, but also where Dog Red is at as well. So two teams that currently sit really well inside of the standings, looking to continue to add to their lead.
How crazy is that pool though, to go from so far into Gardens all the way down to Grow Towers and then all the way back to where basically Wolves and Dog Red are sitting. So interesting pool here. I feel like we always get the most weirdest pools here in Apac South, and this is just another one.
Does mean for a team like Rendang, who currently sit with 13, they're going to need to find a way to hold down that opposite tower as far as from where the team from Dog Red are. You got the map overlay still on Big Dog. We do have the fight going on as far as with Gen G moving forward. They're going to move into that building that's on the opposite side of Wolves. So essentially, Wolves is playing the opposite building they were last time, and now Gen G is playing the building that Wolves were in Team 2.
I think the safe thing for Gen G is that there's no Mad Maggie, so it's not like they're going to be getting too annoyed while being in here for game number 3. See, a lot of teams starting to make their way towards zone. VKG getting some KP here as they are looking to get in on the team that was close by to him, trying to Valkyrie away. Sheila coming out. Oh my god. Beautiful damage from Castor as well, but as we can see, a lot of teams starting to make their way to zone.
Black Hole being one of those squads. They've already lost Easty on the way in. It'll be all left to your actual Axel, who will be able to slide and at least get the heal off, but as a lone player on the outskirts, still not sure if they're going to be able to find themselves any sense of safety. VK Gaming last time we tuned in was shooting up towards the sky. This time it's QQ who will do the same thing, making sure this team that has taken up to the air doesn't encroach on their position. And will be a first knock on the Bolt. Now also going to be able to find a finish across the way. And honestly, VK Gaming has been able to keep themselves safe on this side of the zone for quite a bit here now.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well, VK Gaming. As we can see, though, they do need to be careful, but they will need to rotate in as well. As we can see, 14 squads still standing. Double tap G7 for LQ does have the infinite ammo as well. And it looks like they're going to try and rotate around the fat side here, Q, and make their way into zone. As you can see, though, 14 squads left alive with round 4, 40 seconds away from closing.
Unfortunately for VKG, either way they rotate is going to be quite tough, but now it's actually going to be the Axel that throws a little bit of a wrench into the
my
mix.
god.
Oh my goodness gracious, beaming here. The problem though is the Newcastle does offer that little bit of extra sustainability. The problem though for them is they continue getting sent their way. This Axel getting absolutely aggressive.
Bro, this is going to be insane. This is a 1v3 situation. He has already got 2 downs. There's only 1 man left. That is a hell of a play by QQ. But oh my god, 2C1M nearly just gave us the clip of all time if he did that.
It was the Gundam skin though. It's pay to win. It's what allowed for them to stay alive. You know, when you gotta embrace the inner Gundam, you know, you're able to come out on top. VK Gaming gonna be able to get all 3 players back onto their feet here as well. Weibo Gaming and TYK seem to be getting into it. Weibo able to get back up to a full 3. We had seen that TYK had 2 knocks, and I think unfortunately will be left to just the one lone player, Sato, who does get taken out by the Mastiff.
Beautiful job there. 12 squads left alive. Ubi now looking to rotate into zone. I don't like their chance here, as does look like a lot of teams are looking at them at the moment here. 12 squads still left standing. There's not much real estate left to play.
Not much, but they will be able to come down and take the advantage of that pylon, right? Give you a little bit of safety, despite the fact that you don't have walls to be able to play behind as far as for coverage. We saw Doom looking to stick to the res. They'll have to play as a 2 for now. Autobots Esports, their tower was in the last zone. Unfortunately, it will not be in the next. What they will have to worry about, however, however, is Rendang is on the floor right above them and looks like trying to play aggressive. I don't know if that was enough of an opening, however.
No, Rendang will now be on the back foot. As we can see, the bubble comes out. It's not going to stay down as Autobots look to try and stay alive. They will do enough to just keep Rendang off, but it does look like Rendang looking to maybe move up to the top platform here. We will need to rotate towards that other grow tower, but for now they need to worry about the team underneath, and that is Autobots here in game number 3. We still have 12 squads left standing here with round 5 about to start closing.
Yeah, I was gonna say what the problem is for both of these two teams that are on this tower is there are now 5 squads that are all surrounding the other tower as well. So the first thing you gotta do is at least finish up this fight here. It will be Basri who will be down for Rendang. Ronan will at least be still alive. The Newcastle will help you get back to a 3, but it's only but for a moment. The bubble will be popped to give you at least a little bit of extra protection, but only the Newcastle going from res to res. Eventually it will be Autobots who gets taken out.
As you can see, 10 squads now left standing. Rainbow Gaming trying to stay alive. PXX trying to get themselves into a pretty good spot here as well. So many teams now starting to get into the action. That is ahead of the nade, as well as Gen G look to try and stay alive. The bubble comes out. 2C1M getting eliminated. All of a sudden, look at the team that is still standing. Wolves Esports looking real good here in game number 3.
Looking solid as far as with their position, but I think it's Dog Red who sit on the top most floor. So as long as they make sure that no one ascends to their level, they should be fine. EKG also sending shots on down to keep themselves safe as Gen G gets sent out in the 9th spot. Roy, the last one left alive for DCG, and Rendang looking to wrap up this fight, but oh my goodness gracious, the knock could be just too much.
All of a sudden, 7 squads now left alive. DCG getting eliminated. This is our last game of Olympus, and they've given us the best right now with 7 squads still standing. BK Gaming looking good. Wavo out here as well. Dog Red, PXX, Rendang, Uvi, and Wolves Esports in the driver's seat. As you can see, though, Wolves Esports, they have 8 kills out here as well, Q. In a pretty good position.
Wolves, EKG, along with Dog Red, all in the actual tower itself. However, the tower will eventually need to move. Where Rendang was at, that's where the zone is closing at. So as long as they can keep themselves on their feet, they technically don't need to move at all. But the problem, when 3 teams will all be looking their way, what sort of unfolds, especially as teams like Dog Red fall and have to end up taking that little bit of like that stun there. But seeing the heads pop up, he tries to find a knock, but can't quite find it in time.
This is what Dog Red need. We have talked about this earlier as well, Q. How much Dog Red need to be able to make their way. Wavo Gaming, they will get stay alive. They get rid of Ubi. All of a sudden now Wolves Esports looking to make their way into zone as well, and it's all starting to unfold. VK Gaming, they have their hands full. Dog Red overlooking them as well. Will they decide to drop here, Q? That is the question that Dog Red will have.
Dog Red is trying to wait for the 2 teams below them to drop, right? You try and be the 3rd team and try and essentially be the last piece of bread to the sandwich here. The problem, though, is everyone has the same thing in mind. So instead, Dog Red pushes down to the 2nd floor. All to be left to Fafa Thief, who does end up falling. QQ with like 2 HP, able to stay alive with Casa, and they should be able to get LQ Dud back on their feet as well.
QQ just went absolutely insane. It looks like they're going to have to drop down here and be aggressive as well. This is where the absolute freak QQ does his best work with 3 squads left alive. QQ just going to go to the sky and try and stay alive, but now he won't. It's Wolves Esports going back to back on Olympus and securing first place out of the first 3.
Wow, Wolves with 2 strong games in games 2 and 3 to be able to walk away with 58 points halfway through a series is kind of insane. We talked about how Wolves Esports were looking to take away that top spot over the course of match day number 9. But I think to do so in such convincing fashion is just a reminder to the other 19 teams that will be in the lobby for regional finals next week. This is a squad that still reserves the respect of being atop Apac South. I mean, 15 KP along with the 12 points for the victory, a 27-point game is huge for Wolves Esports.
Absolutely massive to finish off Olympus. The way that they just did it was impressive. Wolves Esports getting the victory here, back-to-back style on Olympus. 27 points. It's not like they just hid Q. They had 15 kills. 15 kills and a victory. Rendang second, VK Gaming third, Weibo Gaming there, keeping their pretty good form going at the moment. They got 4th, and Dog Red round out our top 5. Let's go and have a look at our series overall.
Take a look at it. Wolves Esports far and ahead from the rest of the pack. But when we look at spots 2 through 5, it's teams that are on either side of the bubble, Stoney. All vying to find a spot on the podium. 37 points for Dog Red, TYK with 30, Weibo Gaming with 28, Rendang with 27 to round out that top 5.
Yeah, insane. We'll go and have a look at which legend is getting banned here for game number 4, and it is going to be Valkyrie getting banned. And as you all said, oh, Axel's going to get banned. Well, it looks like she may stay alive again for 6 games here today of ALGS action, as Valkyrie will be the last ban here on Olympus, which means Crypto, Valkyrie, and Mad Maggie are our legends getting banned here for our first 3 games. We'll go and have a look at the map scene, and well, it is Wolves Esports getting back-to-back wins on Olympus. And then I guess we'll go and have a look at our top 5 kills and damage leaders here, Q, after our first lot of games on Olympus.
Yeah, let's see who's bringing the noise and bringing the funk. No Name with 20. Oh my goodness. To be 12 ahead of second place halfway through the series is kind of insane. Literally nobody else in this lobby at double digits, and No Name at 21 is insane. We'll look at our top 5 damage getters, and Jay sitting at 7.2. Fafa Fif, No Name, Bolin, and Kilo rounding out the top 5 as far as our top 5 damage earners.
Well, as you all know, we do get a nice little break in between these games, and that is good for me and Q because I need a water, as I haven't been very well this week. My throat is still kind of recovering. So we won't be too far away, chat. Once again, thank you guys so much for being here. If you're watching here, or if you're watching with Nice Week, if you're watching as well with PMKZ, the tire caster, we have a lot of amazing people that do a lot of amazing things in Apac South. So no matter where you are, if you're supporting us or supporting them, we appreciate you very much. Q, we're going to hit them with a break. Get back here for the back end of our games over on Stormpoint. See you all soon.
Both these teams. Out comes the Maggie ball. It looks like they are going to move on up. Having does get the beautiful swap. Beautiful add-on shots. There's only one left standing. It's take game number 2. With the Craver in the hand, all they need is a sneaky little shot. And as we can see, that is going to be the one. Oh my God, Fafa Fifth nearly got Razi.
To the left, I mean, you can see Fafa Fifth continues to patrol and look to the left with the Craver, but does not push too far. Nice shot with the 150. Now going to be able to push down and gets one knock, but have you now?
Doing pretty well, the boys, even though they were only a duo this whole game. Nice Craver shot just to get rid of the drone. They will swing this. There's only one man left standing. It should be an easy here also, and well, Veneno with the Craver and the alternator in their hand. Razi, oh my God! Gapway goes down. There's only one more man left standing. Can he clean it up? Veneno, oh my God! Oh. Sits down.
Nino still being able to stay up on their feet, and Razi pinning across the way with the Craver. That's another big shot.
There's not much real estate left when you have 9 squads. His accuracy at the moment with the Craver is just insane.
All dead. Last team. 1, 2, 3, go. Time. Kasar. Give me knock. Let's go!
Alrighty, we're back. Game number. I caught you out. Go off guard there, didn't I? We're back for game number 4, just around the corner. We are going to Storm Point at the moment. We are waiting for Metro to get into Grape Soda's team. Don't know what's going on there, but we'll have to wait and see. But let's go and have a look at the Storm Point POIs, Q, because that's what we're going to now.
Let's take a look at it. We talked about at the top of the day how most teams had prioritized this. Actually, not most teams. All the teams had prioritized this during the POI draft. Literally all 20 teams using pick number 1. Even Edward Gaming at pick number 20, picking up Devastated Coast down there. I know you had mentioned Cenote Cave being a concern for you for Gen G, but I'm kind of curious, seeing them playing a little better on the edge, does that still have the same sort of concern for you with how they're looking today?
It doesn't, because of the teams that are next to them. I feel like they've got the confidence in them this game, especially if Grape Soda, if they know that Grape Soda are going in as a duo here, we may see them full send that towards Mill. So,
I mean, it's not like that's hidden information to the teams in the lobby right now.
No, exactly. So Aaron, everyone's standing here waiting for this to get started. So it's interesting. They also have Yubi on the right side in Barometer. I feel like, you know, Gen.G feel like they have the confidence at the moment. They're in that top 7 situation. They have 14 kills, only 8 placement points. So we obviously know where the problem is at the moment for this team. But, you know, with the spot that they're in, when the time they leave Cenote, they're stacked. It's a POI that you leave with a lot of util. You know, you have a lot up your sleeve before you leave Cenote. So, you know, I'm intrigued to see how they go. I feel like I love where VK Gaming have chosen to land. Just because of the amount of mountain lift zones we have been getting, and obviously where Black Hole are landing as well. So, well, it does look like Grape Soda are playing with a sub. So it looks like Metro is a no-show here for the back end of this games.
I mean, good news is you got yourself a sub, right? So you are at least able to play as a full 3. But that's really tough for Grape Soda, who was one of those teams who was at least trying to have a strong enough of a day to potentially be able to avoid relegation. They were already having to try to climb out of that 30th spot. However, now going to be looking to try and do that with the sub. Definitely quite the challenge. I mean, all good hopes and vibes sent their way for sure. But I mean, at least you're getting to play this thing as a trio. That at least makes it to where you're playing regular competitive Apex, you know?
100%. As we are about to load in for our 4th game of today. This means that there is only 3 games left, Q, before we get... Oh, hold on a second. Come on. We do have only 3 games left, though, of the regular season before we head into regionals. And if you guys all wanted to see what the standings look like at the moment, well, here they are for you. With, as you can see, DCG, UB, Gen G, Wolves. Who else we got out there? PXX, VK Gaming, Victory Esports, Edward Gaming, all still with a game day up their sleeve. And, well, they're playing at the moment. And with some of those teams, you look at Edward Gaming, they're sitting 12th, PXX 13th. Who else have we got in that top 10? Top 20 Mama Clubs, they're sitting 17th. So for teams like Dog Red, 2C1M, this is pretty big for them.
Yeah, honestly, Mama Club's a big concern, right? They're not necessarily just inside the bubble. You would probably consider Goat and Veneno in that position in the 17th and 18th spot. But with only 51 points, and I say only 51 points, especially with the performance that we've seen thus far from the likes of Dog Red, TYK, even Weibo still having the potential to turn around their day coming down the home stretch here on Storm Point. Some of these teams definitely need to make sure they're still on their P's and Q's, especially when you talk about for Mama Clubs. Like we've seen Rendang have a decent day. AJBNW's at least gotten a couple of points, so they're in at least striking distance. So Mama Clubs needs to make sure that they're not going out early, especially in this map 4.
I'm intrigued to see how DCG go in this game too. Now, they only have 12 points so far, but they are sitting in a top 10 situation for this team. So, with the teams that are left standing, Q, I feel like for Dog Red, TYK, Weibo, they're all feeling pretty comfortable right now.
Feeling decent for sure. I mean, especially with due to the fact of some of your underperformers, you're feeling all right about where you're at. Again, I think the big thing is you've got to make sure that all eyes and focus are really on this game number 4, because as much as you might feel confident now, one game, strangely enough, can really kind of turn the tides, especially if one of the teams that's underperforming all of a sudden starts to catch momentum as we're changing maps.
As we can see, that's the series overall there. So for everyone that's in chat, and when we're looking at the points and the overall standing, there's 3 teams that we're talking about that need a big day, and that is TYK, Dog Red, and Weibo Gaming. If you have a look at that top 5 right there, they're all 4 of them are sitting and waiting for their chance to make it into regionals. And well, they're living up to the expectation that they set themselves, Q, because at the moment, for everyone that's been watching these teams, they have struggled in recent match days, but today they look like a different team, and just they look like teams that really want to be a part of regionals next week.
Since you are the GOAT over here and you are the man of many caps, would you be able to do me a favor and pull up the graphic that showed what some of these teams are potentially looking to need in order to get into that regional finals next week?
Here we go.
Because we did talk about that at the start of the show here. And for teams like Dog Red, and again, this is a rough estimation, right? Because obviously things change depending on how this lobby itself plays out. Dog Red, we figured, would probably be needing about a 3rd or a 4th place, feeling pretty good about where they're at, obviously. TYK, though, where they were, since they were 6 points shorter than Dog Red going into the day, we figured they were going to be needing a 1st. So while they are within striking distance, the problem for TYK is, well, Wolves Esports exists, and they have been doing a lot more than existing thus far in the server, especially over on Olympus. They've put themselves into quite a bit of a lead, so TYK is going to have to hope to get some help from the rest of the lobby in the sense of getting Wolves Esports out relatively quick.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, because where they are. So, but Dog Red, 3rd place or 4th place with a tiebreaker win, right? They're sitting in that top 2 situation with TYK very close by and Weibo Gaming. Weibo Gaming, they're only, well, really, I say only, but you're 30 points away from Wolves Esports, who just went back to back on Olympus. You really think they're going to stop on Storm Point? Not a single chance. So, for these teams that need to win, unfortunately for them, like you said, Wolves Esports are out here and they look really, really good.
Yeah, it's the tough part going into today. I mean, it was already going to be a challenge, but now you've got half a series, and you mentioned that 30-point deficit is going to be quite tough to cut out of. And especially because, like, for Wolves, like, what do you hope? Do you hope that it's a northeastern zone? That way they're not on the hunt out on the edge, so they're not picking up KP. Well, then they're just going to get some placement points anyways, right? But if you end up sending a zone down to that southwestern side of the map, well, now all of a sudden it's No Name that's on the hunt on the edge of zone. And surely they're going to pick up a couple of KP there as well. So like you said, for the likes of TYK and Weibo Gaming, despite the fact that they've done pretty well to control what they can control to be within striking distance of that 1st place, Wolves Esports are just doing their thing out on the server today.
Yeah, they're definitely doing their thing. Yeah, does look like we're about to do our thing as well, Q, and that is get into game number 4. We did have to have a quick little reset there for, as I think one of the Autobots team members had DC'd here, so wait and see how game 4 is going to go. But so far so good for a lot of these teams that are trying to prove their part of regional finals. Let's go and have a look while they're choosing their legends.
Be really intrigued. I think the one team composition that I want to continue to keep an eye on personally is going to be Gen G. We had seen them breaking out the Axel. However, I was going to say with the Vantage, maybe not going to move the Axel in as well. The Axel Vantage, however, is cooking, maybe? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. The reason I wanted to bring up Gen G in their composition, I felt like when Axel was released, I think you and I had a conversation with it, I want to say in the green room, probably like our first week back, thinking that they were going to be one of our teams that would probably really benefit from the Axel, especially a more aggressive composition that we generally see from this, generally a very aggressive play style we see from this team, a legend that we figured would slide right in with the type of game that they like to play. And despite the fact that we haven't seen Axel getting banned, well, they first weren't really playing Axel much, now finally playing Axel more, starting to see some success. I would really like to see them start to shine through down the home stretch here today, though.
Does look like we are going to have a Storm Catchers zone, and I said Mountain Lift. It's pretty close. I mean, Mountain Lift's still in it a little bit. Does pull back towards Mountain Lift. I might cry, but we'll have to watch how it goes here for Storm Point. And well, Autobots, PXX, a team that I've been pretty impressed with, Cubit. They are very, very quiet today.
Just a thought. If I'm wrong,
Yeah, they've had a strong performance since their one match day win, and then today have definitely been incredibly quiet. So the good news for them with where they're sitting in the standings, even with regional finals having technically a little bit more weight to it in points, they should be fine, at least when it comes to qualifying for EWC. But we did mention earlier on in the season, it's not just about qualifying for EWC. The better you qualify, or the better you finish within the region, obviously, you get better POI drafts for those earlier rounds, which is really what it's all about, especially knowing that in those earlier rounds, every point counts when it comes to either finding yourself in the elimination side of the bracket or the winner's bracket.
See teams starting to make their way to zone. It looks like DCG already getting into some action here early on, and that is Edward Gaming, who will get the one down on Louison, sorry, here with our 20 squads left. But it just does look like maybe teams are trying to find a place to play here early on.
Let's rush over there.
Teams are trying to figure out where they can find themselves a little bit of real estate. There's not exactly too many buildings up in this area, right? Like, so at this point, you're going to have to play around some of your buildable sort of cover, right? The good news is quite a few of the teams that are in the server right now do have those new castles, so they'll be able to play around though. Actually, honestly, while we're talking about not just the Newcastle, we're seeing quite a few teams rocking either the Newcastle Gibby, so obviously you get the bubble, or that Newcastle Watson. I guess we can call it odes to the old moist composition. Which obviously gives you the ability to really hunker down. You play, obviously, the wall. You've got the pylon as well that can give you some safety. So while it might be an area where there's not a lot of buildings, there's still a lot of teams that can build their own cover.
DK Gaming closest to Weibo, and well, Weibo do move back. As you know, QQ's gun does hurt a lot, and it looks like DK Gaming trying to move in as well to get that juicer. So as we will see, teams starting to rotate a little bit later, but using the rotations here early to try and get their shields up. And well, as we can see, VK Gaming, they might have their hands full with Grape Soda as Nico has taken back Metro Spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like if you are this Grape Soda squad, like you're playing with house money at this point, right? Like there's really no expectations. You got this up. Why not play aggressive? They look to try and do that. The problem, though, is it is DKG that sits on the other side, and will at least be able to take out Tony Salami here. And I think that leaves only low key, yeah, as the last player left to tuck their tail and try and find some safety.
And they will just have to stay alive for now, as TYK looking to maybe move in towards VK here as well. Q for game number 4. Well, nearly one team fully eliminated, but for now, we're still going to have 20 standing.
TYK surely really wished that that fight with Grape Soda lasted a little bit longer. They were already on the rotate on up. Unfortunately, though, the fight finished. They know that that team that was inside has had time to reset, so they'll approach a little bit more cautiously. What they don't know, though, is VKG has already started their rotate on in. I guess now they'll know that, as it looks like at least getting sent their way a little bit. But you know, with this thing ending so far out towards the east, you can understand why VKG is going to want to just quickly get to their feet, get on the ground, and hit over this way. We mentioned how there's going to be very few safe spots. They're going to try and see if maybe they can find one this late.
You have to keep going for a set, sorry.
And now they're going to be HABNW. Looks like they're taking some shots across the way. We'll at least be able to get the scan. That lets them know the lay of the land around them. So as far as what way do they want to go as far as their rotate on in. Keep in mind, when we had looked at the overall standings, HABNW was one of those teams that was just on the inside of the bubble. You saw us sitting with only 4 points thus far. So surely with our first map here on Storm Point, like to be able to turn their day around. 2C1M, they've found themselves decent spot on the high ground here. They'll be able to overlook both towards their west as well as towards their south and make sure that they're able to keep these teams at bay.
See 20 squads now still standing. Autobots looking to move into a better position. Mama Clubs, they're going to set up home as well. Wall comes out, pylon comes out. As you can see, there's a lot of Watsons in the lobby here as well. Victory Esports, though, kind of caught in a hard place at the moment as they're looking down their way towards Mama Clubs as well.
One of those teams that does have the Watson, though, so the pylon will at least help them with a little bit of safety for the time being. And a lot of these teams, since they did rotate in, they won't have the deepest of pockets when it comes to those ordinances, you know, those nades and the thermites. So when you throw them across the way, you see the pylon. Ain't no sense in continuing to waste your little bit of stockpile. Autobots would look to be able to play from the stairway, and honestly, due to the fact, like we had mentioned, that there are not as many buildings where the zone is going to continue to pull up in this direction. The stairway, a great spot for Autobots here moving forward.
Listen, let's move here.
Mama Clubs still standing. Let's go and have a look at the zone. As we can see, round 2 underway. Grape Soda getting a full reset as well, and it does pull back towards Mountain Lift Q. That's insane.
That's interesting. Good call, though, from TYK. Got to give him credit. Although, maybe the beneficiary of just being late to the party, the question then becomes, do they know that they are exactly where the zone is moving towards? If not, they could be moving away from what is a very good building to be playing from within. Mama Clubs will have to move away slowly here eventually. 2C1M. Well, they're in a tough spot as Yigot is down to about 5 HP. Will eventually find themselves on the ground. And it's Rendang who has pulled up and is looking to put them back into the lobby. Looking to chase down the last alive.
Yeah, they're going to keep their foot on the pedal. As we can see, Rendang coming in with the third party. We have a lot of action starting to unfold as teams will soon figure out where this zone is pulling.
We had mentioned the stairway that they were playing on was good earlier. They're going to eventually need to move, obviously, as the zone will pull away, but they don't know that just quite yet. You'll see they'll continue to play both the stairway looking towards the lift as well as the higher side. The Watson gives them the ability to kind of riddle the stairway with those fences. Should be able to keep teams at bay. Fortunately for them, they should be able to notice, at least when more teams don't join up in this direction, that they're not in a priority spot. However, a player down, they're going to have to find a way back onto their feet. We had mentioned how PXX have been relatively quiet today. It's currently sitting in that 13th spot. The good news is we know that they're a team that has the ability to not just pop off, but to be able to put together a couple of consistent games, which in this case would still be able to put them inside of that top 10. And as we had mentioned, they are one of the few squads that probably feel relatively safe when it comes to their chances for EWC.
Oh, man, nearly died. Black Hole now looking to move in. Fizz6 staying alive here. As for now, they've been the first team eliminated a couple of times, but that is going to be a huge gibby hold as Black Hole look to try and keep their foot on the front side of things at the moment, as Black Hole just overlooking Fizz6 for now. But there's a lot of gibbies out in the lobby at the moment as well, Q, as we can see DCG trying to rotate in as they do get it down as well. And all of a sudden they look pretty good as Mama Clubs look to be in a little bit of trouble trying to rotate from that hill.
All the bubbles out on the server weren't a dead giveaway. Man, the bombardment says now that they get a couple of them things. Should definitely let everyone know that there's a good fair share of gibbies that are currently out in the server. Black Hole looking to move on in as far as with their fight. XS try and play from the high ground, but this bubble continues to keep the fight isolated away from them. Fizz6, I thought, had the advantage. Unfortunately, though, 2 players will fall. Witness Me will be the last one left alive. They are in Newcastle, however, should be able to get their teammates back up onto their feet. And it's going to be one last player left alive for Black Hole, but they're just built differently, as they'll be able to wrap up Fizz6 and send them back to the lobby.
Black Hole getting the job done. Fizz6 being eliminated once again. Oh, 19 squads left standing. Look at that zone pool, and oh, a lot of teams starting to make their way to zone, and that is insane. What a pullback. As you can see, the amount of teams that are on that northern east side is just insane.
Remember Grape Soda earlier, we're down to a solo, back to a full 3, and in the dead middle of where the ring is eventually going to be closing in on it, in one of the 2 buildings that I think will be in the final circle as well. So they put themselves in a really strong spot. We'll have to keep an eye on them as the rest of this lobby continues to play on out. EDG, as well as Weibo Gaming down on this southern side of the zone. We had mentioned for Weibo, it's basically win or bust when it comes to regional finals. They've had a decent day thus far, but they're still going to have to really pick up the pace here on Storm Point due to the fact that Wolves Gaming are so far ahead.
And look where they are, in a perfect spot for this zone as well, Q. So with 19 squads left standing, they're looking pretty good at the moment.
All those squads that's rocking not only the Gibby, but the few that are rocking the Rampart, so they can build a little bit of additional coverage and of course also amplify their damage that they're putting out as well. And if there's any team in this lobby that I don't need getting a multiplier on their damage, it's Wolves Esports. DCG and be over on the southeastern side. Meanwhile, on the northeastern side, it's 2C1M up here at Lifts. And back with DCG as they're in a bubble fight, able to find a first knock here as Roy pushes on through, trying to see if they can find a second, but instead will be able to clean things up, be able to secure the shield swap for their teammate.
Yeah, Ubi now on the back foot as well. Edward Gaming, they look like they are moving in as well. A lot of teams on this south side of zone in a lot of trouble, Q, here with this close in of zone. As we can see though, PXX, another team who we were talking about haven't had the best day, look to be in a little bit of trouble. Victory Esports get eliminated as well. 2C1M looking to try and get the last member here. Beautiful shots. That was disgusting. PXX getting eliminated. 2C1M now looking to try and stay alive. I really don't like his chances here as Dog Red look to move in and get, well, not third party, but the fourth party.
And the third party becomes the third party. And that's Dog Red that pulls on up. Hold on just a second, though, as I do believe it's still Giga that is left alive here for 2C1M. It's the 1v3 that would prove to be quite the challenge, however, and I think the shots has given away their position. Dog Red officially going to be on the hunt. Good shots landed. Got to give them credit where credit's due, but Dog Red comes out on top and picks up a little bit more KP.
Black Hole closest team to Dog Red at the moment. Do need to be careful though, and they will rotate back. So we're going to have a look at this zone queue as teams have all tried to make their way towards where zone is. Another team that is making their way towards zone, well, Genji Esports, I guess, leaving it late, seem to have worked in their favor here today.
Still in a decent spot, especially as they do probably hear those shots in the building that are in front of them. The question is, when do they decide to push? Because not only is Rendang in this fight in this building here, but I think HABNW in the building next door, and could very well add their name to the mix. Grape Soda will be eliminated with sub and all. And yeah, it does look like the third party. It is HABNW. Takes at least a quick peek on in. Meanwhile, the northeastern side of the zone is Black Hole, who's trying to keep a team off of their 6 as Dog Red is out.
On the clubs now, in a little bit of trouble. VK Gaming in a really good spot here as well. As we can see, teams all starting to fall over. Edward Gaming get eliminated as well, as QQ's starting to get some KP on the board. Look at Wolves Esports though. Down goes another one. Black Hole get eliminated. Esports now looking to maybe try and stay alive as a duo. Best thing about this new update, well, you just hold that box, boys, and you'll get your teammate back into the game. But the problem for that is TYK, the team that we were talking about that needed to get rid of Wolves Esports to be able to win and make their way to regionals. Well, they're going to move up here with the third party and clean up Wolves Esports, and they get rid of them at 6th position. TYK now in a pretty good spot, but they do need to rotate a little bit more towards that south side here with 50 seconds left to go.
Well, you've done the first job, which is eliminate Wolves from the lobby and make sure that they can't earn any more points. Now, you got to be able to pick up some KP along with being able to pick up a dub. You put yourself in a pretty decent position over on that northeastern side of the zone. There's 3 squads that are in these 2 buildings on the northwestern side, one of which is Rendang, who we had mentioned going into the day needed a pretty solid performance today, currently in the 3rd position. They also have Genji over here, as well as they have HABNW. You figure probably only one of these 3 squads is going to be able to make their way into the zone from this northwestern side. The question is who?
Rendang looking pretty good. HABNW looking okay for now as well. Haven't had much luck today, have this team, but they did go back-to-back wins at the end of match day 8 last week. And let's see if they can do it again here today. Genji Esports now looking to try and figure out where they're going to play. And well, the Axel Q will come in handy. And we were talking about Asia on Axel, how exciting that is. And at the moment, it looks like they're going to use that straight now up with the movement, with the kickstart as well. Bubble does come out. They do get one up. Beautiful shots by Asia. I don't know how he hasn't lost a single bit of health right now, but this dude has just rotated into absolutely chaos. He now has just lost all his help. I take that back as Genji Esports look to be in a little bit of trouble. The bubble comes out just in time. Genji looking to try and get a reset for the 3rd party. Weibo Gaming looking to clean up Genji.
Yeah, Weibo Gaming looking to clean them up. Ziki, I think, has been able to tuck away as a solo. We'll see if maybe they can make a play as that lone rat. Meanwhile, up on that northern side of the zone, it is TYK, who are currently looking to take a fight with HABNW. And right now, TYK absolutely cooking. HABNW now going to be out. It's going to be them, Weibo Gaming, and the duo from Genji is actually Genji is going to be able to get Dexter back on their feet.
Ultimate accelerant here.
They can somehow rotate back around to Asia's box bubble, and be able to get him back in would just be absolutely insane. I don't like his chances though, as the teams, as Weibo Gaming understand there is a duo very close by. Also want to say, advantage in match day 9 in game 4 is something I really wasn't expecting to see here for Genji.
Definitely an intriguing composition for sure. We'll have to see if it ends up working for them. Weibo Gaming does end up backing down, realizing that you don't want to overextend, pushing towards the duo and allowing for TYK on the northern side of the zone to get this for free, because TYK will be the first team that needs to move, and maybe there's a chance that Gen G will help you take out this trio. Right now, it will be Weibo Gaming looking to play around the lift.
Weibo just going to have to try and hold it down for now. They have used their ultimate a little early here. As TYK, Gen G Esports though still alive with one ultimate up Dexter's sleeve, and well, Ziki on the Vantage, just having fun with it at the moment.
Interesting, because the Vantage can really prove to be a thorn in the side at range. Dexter has to protect their front side. Big sprays with the R99, but it doesn't get the knock. They'll send the bombardment out. We'll be able to pop the bubble as well. I don't know if that is going to be enough, and how the good news though is there is a chance Weibo comes in and plays spoiler on TYK.
Yeah, here come Weibo now, as we can see. Well, 3MZ trying to stay alive. TYK looking to move in back towards the action. The best thing for TYK that's happening right now is that they have so much caustic gas around the area. Oh my god, he nearly died. That it is going to keep him alive for now, with Gen G Esports moving into the high. Beautiful shots from Dexter, but the caustic gas is proven too much. Look at Ziki just having fun with it at the moment. It's going to be a 1v3 situation. TYK trying to stay alive, and the caustic gas is going to get the job done for TYK. And what a victory for game number 4.
This is huge because that moves them up to 52 points. We had talked about the fact that they were able to take out Wolves in the 7th position, and I don't think Wolves picked up very much KP. I think they were at like 56, 58 points, something like that, heading into game number 4. So now what seemed like quite the hole for this team that realistically needs a match day win in order to secure themselves a spot in regional finals, that feels obtainable now with just 2 games left. And I mean, a 10 KP win, 22 points is exactly what you're looking for to start off Storm Point.
Huge game by TYK. 22-point victory. Weibo with the 2nd, Gen G with the 3rd, HABNW 4th, and Rendang round out our top 5. We'll go and have a look at the series overall, and well, it is going to be Wolves Esports only sitting in front now by 12 points. TYK move into 2nd, Weibo Gaming move into 3rd, Dog Red 4th, and Rendang in that top 5. And this is where it gets a little bit scary here for Dog Red. Sitting in that top 4, they need to stay in that top 4 queue to be safe for regionals. If they go any lower, I mean, you got Rendang, VK, Gen G sneaking up very closely as well. Let's go and have a look at that legend select and see which legend is banned here for game 4 moving onwards.
Felt like I saw a lot of bubbles. Yeah, it will be the Gibby that gets taken off of the board for game number 5. So can't say that I'm too surprised with that one. We had talked about how long would Axel still stay around after being the number 2 selected, or the 2nd most selected hero in both games 1 and 2, and well, still alive moving forward down our last 2 games here on Storm Point. I guess as far as with that, let's take a look at our top kill getters here through 4.
Yep, No Name with 22 kills. Sato sitting 2nd, Jay with the 11, QQ with 10, and YRV getting 9. And with damage, well, Jay's just out here doing work today. Fuffa 5th sitting 2nd, No Name 3rd, and we have YRV and Bolan rounding out our top 5. Well, TYK, they get the first win on Storm Point. We have 2 more games to go here on Storm Point before we get in to, well, see which teams are making it to regionals.
Coming down the home stretch here, man. It's crazy to think that we are now 2 games away from being able to say, well, we know what 10 teams are not playing next weekend for regional finals, and We'll also be able to tell the folk what 8 teams are going to have to work their way through relegation as well, which means there's a chance, despite the fact that Stormpoint, I feel like, tends to give us a lot of consistency when it comes to the rate of play. Some of those teams that entered into the day in the bottom 10 who haven't quite seen the success they were looking for through the first 4 maps, they could be the pressure cooker that really disrupts things for these final 2.
Yeah, it could. I mean, just so everyone understands how much is in stake for these teams. Well, TYK, Weibo, and Dogred. We have shown this now a fair few times, but for Weibo, TYK, and Dogred, they need a first place at least just to get towards that estimated cut-off point, which is 55 points. So with for TYK sitting second, they need a really good game 5 and 6 here, Q, to be able to get this a reality.
Yeah, and I'm even trying to think, Stoney, because Dogred obviously already having a pretty strong performance. Like, even if Dogred doesn't make the podium, they're still going to get a fair share of points to add to their tally, which will at least allow for them to move up into the top 20, you would feel like, more than likely, or be close to it, which means also that's one less spot that Weibo and TYK have to move past. And 2C1M, I feel like if they have a decent game in either game 5 or 6, they're in a similar position in the leaderboard as far as today's leaderboard, where they could also do that as well. So still so much on the line for these final 2 games. And we do talk about it like, you know, yeah, Rendang sitting in a decent spot. Honestly, if there's any team that's going to be feeling the pressure right now, heading down the home stretch of these final 2 games, it's HABNW. I think on the day they're only sitting on a handful of points, and they know that they've got teams like Dogred, Weibo, and TYK nipping at their heels.
Yeah, that's so true. I didn't really think of that. And you also have Rendang as well. I think
Rendang's had a good day there.
Being pretty consistent. Yeah, they're on top 5 at the moment. So, you know, where HABNW have the tiebreaker on Rendang at the moment, but that's not going to be enough, especially with Rendang where they're sitting on the overall leaderboard. For HABNW, their best lot of games last week were the last 2 of the match day. So it's now their chance to shine once more on the last 2 of these games here today.
And unfortunate news for Autobots Esports as we do get ready to move on forward. It's like they're going to have this, have to play the remainder of this out as a 2. It looks like OK Josh confirming that they will be a duo. Teammate losing power, so unfortunate for them. However, I guess if there's any consolation, you were kind of out of the running for regional finals, and probably due to the fact of where they were sitting on the day, probably also in a spot where you weren't really going to be able to compete for that top 22. So at this point, you're kind of vibing your last couple games anyways.
Let's get into our final set of games. This is where it comes down to, Q. As we know, Autobots, like you said, are a duo, but the back end of the game is kind of like the 3rd and 4th quarter of a sport. I feel like these are your most important 2. This is where you can really make a move, or you kind of just stay stuck where you are.
Yeah, I would say even more so on game 5 than game 6, right? For especially these teams that find themselves maybe not in the bottom of the leaderboard, but just behind that, say like 6-7 range. That's number 2 for the week. But for those teams that are like right behind them, you can't necessarily put yourself in contention for, like, say, the podium with a strong map number 5. But if you go out early, there's no shot at you being able to get a chance at the podium.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for a lot of these teams here. For game number 5, let's go and get into the action queue as it all comes down to this. Will we get a Cedo zone or maybe a mill or barometer zone here for game number 5. We wait and see as teams are landing down into their respective POIs.
Well, Cedo would definitely be nice for Weibo Gaming, who currently sit, you know, in the contention of that top 5, right? We talked about how they needed a really strong day today and a win in game number 5, especially if they get some help with, say, Wolves Esports going out relatively early, as well as TYK. And maybe you still have a chance to be able to contend for that number 1 spot. Of course, I set the stage for it to be able to be like, hey, look, we're going to Cedo. We're not. We're going to Barometer, which is going to be good news for Team Ubity. Team Ubi's had a relatively quiet day so far today.
I like that. That sounded a lot better. Ubity. That was a lot better than
Ubity?
Yeah, that was cool. I like that. Well, let's go and have a look at Relove DCG. Now, this is one of our teams that loves the back end of games as well, does DCG. And at the moment, they're sitting in the 11th position as Black Hole took temp off them. And as they've been quiet, Q, we do know this team tends to show up really late.
On your guard.
Yeah, they definitely like to put their fans on the edge of their seat and make sure that they watch all 6 games of the series. That's for sure. Then, like a lot of teams, they'll be looking to rotate relatively quickly. 2 players are also still sitting on those white tees. I feel like when you talk about teams that are in contention of still being able to find themselves in that, you know, 8-9 spot, as long as EKG and the winner of regional finals is also in that top 9. DCG in the hunt for those spots. And I feel like in Apac South, you always love if Roy gets a chance to be able to pop off on land.
Yeah, and he always gets a win. I feel like you always see a win from Roy at land. That is
at least one. Yeah.
At least one. So PXX looking to make their way into zone. It does look like Black Hole as well, trying to find a better place to play. And well, does look like they're rotating towards Barometer, but Forbidden Zone is where they're going to have to try and get past first. Ubi, well, they're in a pretty good spot here, Q. They don't have to move. Well, majority of the time here, usually it's the zone that they love to hold pretty early on. If you do have Barometer, that is the spot to play. And all of a sudden, Autobots, one of the duos, already being eliminated here early on.
Picked on by one of the big dogs. That's tough. And part of the reason for that is because right now, even still, there's 4 teams that are all in Jurassic trying to rotate their way down south. One of them being Black Hole, trying to wrap up the rest of this fight here as XX was able to land a couple of shots. One of them not going to be the finishing blow, however. So we'll kickstart things and look to try and chase them down towards the nut building. Good spray across, finds 109, cracks on the 1. PK spray and be able to find a knock on a 2 is filthy.
XXFPS getting rid of PXX just like that, and they will clean it up here to start off game at number 1. Victory Esports really not having much luck here either, and they will be eliminated at 19th as Ubi get some more kills. Doom needs to be careful as HAAB and W looking to try and move in as well, but Ubi playing pretty good here so far.
I do gotta say, I like the zipline play from HABNW. I mean, you have to play aggressive to try and take this top floor from whoever ends up securing it. Almost finds an opening, but just not quite enough. Team Ubi will be able to continue to be able to have the possession of this high ground. And generally we see when it comes to Barometer, whatever team is able to play from this highest level, they're generally able to keep themselves a decent placement off of the back of it. So we will probably see a couple more teams on their rotate on in, try and vie for this position. But if Ubi can hold it, don't be surprised if they finish with the top 5 in game 5.
Where are they sitting overall at the moment? 16th. So they need a pretty big set of games here for the back end. And as we can see, VK Gaming, well, they're just res farming at the moment to try and get their shields up. A lot of teams playing these back buildings. Maybe they feel like this is where it's going to pull here for game number 5. Q, I must admit, today's zones, if you were in IGL, that would have to be some of the hardest zones to call with the pools that we have had.
Yeah, we've had some awkward pulls here, and that's why I'm kind of curious where this one ends up going. You'd almost expect it to pull more backside of Barometer with a double touch on the zones on the back two there, but there is a good chance with where these teams are playing over towards this bridge on the the eastern side, it might be pulling this direction, which means for some of these teams that have claimed these buildings early, the likes of BKG as well as HABNW, and then that squad right in that third building, Ubi, they've got really good priority.
18 squads left alive with esports very close by to 2C1M, and well, this team looks pretty scary, let's be honest. The form that they're in, they weren't in this form at the end of Split 2 before Champs. We had a massive break, obviously. I don't know if it was a matter, it was probably like, it was like 2 months, wasn't it? From Split 2 to Champs.
It was a fair share break, yeah, it was a good break.
I feel like that team really kind of lost a lot of momentum into Champs, but I tell you what, I would not want to be facing Wolves at EWC with the form that this team is in at the moment.
Yeah, especially with how good they've been looking as a full trio, surely, but a no name has really been looking darn scary, that's for sure. And would love to be able to see, you know, back-to-back EWCs and Apac South champ. I mean, definitely would be something for the a good reason for the region to be able to pound on their chest. And I feel like a lot of people have started giving the region more credit over the course of the last year or two, but I think to be able to walk away with yet another LAN when that's not from like a Dark Zero type team, but even a different squad from VKG would really just show the depth of the region for sure. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a VK back-to-back EWC. I feel like that would just cement that it wasn't obviously a fluke. And it's a team that I feel like we knew that we're going to get a win soon, right? That's the type of team that VK are, but I'm pretty sure Wolves were on match point in that game as well, and that's who they went up against to win that game. So either we'll win in that game, Apac South. So it'd be cool to see VK and Wolves be in the exact same position this year for Paris as well. Anyone in chat want to get me in queue there? Thank you very much.
Also, you know who I'd love to see in the conversation towards the end of LAN as well is Genji, a team that I feel like in the past has always been in the conversation for the region, but then at LAN, even when like in the old team, like, oh, hold on, let's hold on to that for a moment. And right now, Wolves are absolutely getting crazy, and now the Sheila's singing as well, and this could very well be 2C1M getting sent back to the lobby.
2C1M getting eliminated. Wen just went crazy with the wingman, but now all of a sudden they have a third party, and it is Fizz6 Gaming looking to move in on the action. Now Fizz6 haven't had the best day, but this is something that this team needs for maybe just a little bit of confidence boost moving forward for this team, because at the moment, well, Fizz6 looking like they might be headed back to PLQ to try and cement their spot in Pro League for Split 2.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, actually, was momentum is what you need to be able to build, because they will be having to work their way through relegation. So if you can at least end on a strong note, knowing that the lobbies you'll be going to for the relegation portion should be a little bit easier, should at least have them feeling confident they'll be back for Split 2. And well, we mentioned how Wolves can still play spoiler for teams of the like of TYK, who essentially need a dub on the day. Picking up some early KP definitely has to have them feeling pretty good.
Yeah, well, let's go and have a look actually at this zone before we get into it. Round 2 closing. You can see a lot of these teams, like we said, were playing around that backside of the main building, and well, VK, UB and crew might be making the right choice. But as we know, these zone pulls have been insane. I wouldn't be surprised if it pulls back right onto Autobots.
Good chance for an awkward pool here. You see a couple of squads. I mean, it's kind of spread out through at least where the third zone is going to be, but if there is going to be one that sends an awkward pull, it would be the following ones. We'll have to definitely keep an eye on that. Does look like maybe Fizz6 will end up getting a little bit of relief with Wolves pulling away from that choke point, deciding to rotate down on in. You mentioned these southern teams, the teams that are kind of on the southern side of barometer of the likes of Weibo Gaming. For now, they just have to continue to kind of poke and prod and keep these squads away and at bay. They do have a team right up above them, though.
Yeah, it does look like they are coexisting at the moment. I don't think they know that Grape Soda are here. So this will be very interesting if they do swing this and kind of get caught out. Weibo Gaming, they may be in a little bit of trouble, but this will be quite interesting tact here by the boys of Grape Soda.
Well, because the Weibo is like the perfect example of a team that can't exactly win this series here in this game, but they do need a strong finish in game number 5 to be in position for game 6. So if they get jumped by Grape Soda, that's going to be a big field bad run. Look, there it is. They're going to get the green light. They're going to push on forward. And now it's going to be the Newcastle shield that goes down to give them some extra cover as well. And now the Newcastle helping them reset. I think Grape Soda should be able to pull this off.
Well, that does. They need to be careful though, because Weibo Gaming, they still have their Newcastle left out here as well, and you won't believe who's decided to join the party. Well, that was Gen G. They do move back, but now though Grape Soda as a duo looking to try and clean this up. There's only one man left standing. Low-key understands it. With 17 squads left alive, if you're Weibo Gaming, you would be pretty devoed about this.
Yeah, this is tough. Gen G ended up backing down, so it was isolated for a moment, but now as Autobots Esports has came up on this fight to try to knock on the door to see if they can enter their name into the mix. Right now, it's Jay that is the last left alive. Kick on in there to see if he can get the reset. As luckily enough, Grape Soda will be stuck on the low ground for now, and maybe that will at least allow for the team above them to get up to a 2.
Beautiful job there. Nope. Salami getting rid of Weibo, and just like that, we're down to 16 squads. I'll have a look as teams are starting to rotate into zone as we speak. VKG getting it down on one of the members as well, trying to rotate in. That's Dog Red, and just like that, Dog Red with 2 back-to-back stinkers, and that is not good for that team if they are looking to make regionals.
I feel like I foreshadowed this after they won that first game, but we've seen a lot of teams after having a hot start really fizzle out, and it seems to be a little bit of deja vu all over again, just a different name here for match day 6. VK Gaming, along with a couple of these other squads on this eastern side, have been able to keep teams that have been rotating on in away from rotating in for free. We saw Dog Red had just gotten eliminated, but other teams that have moved in have either gotten knocked or suffered some big damage. So when you look towards teams now, especially on the far side, teams like Black Hole, they're going to have quite a challenge when it comes to getting deep within Barometer itself. The question becomes, though, you mentioned, do we get an awkward pull? If we were going to, it would be at the conclusion of this, but instead, we're just going to continue to pull down south. So that means for teams like Gen G and DCG, they were down here early, and Gen G actually called this perfectly.
Yeah, what a zone for Gen G. They played pretty well here. They playing very relaxed. They could have been a lot more aggressive in their push that last one. Beautiful shots coming out from Wolves. They get rid of TYK, the team that was coming second. And we have 14 squads now left alive as Wolves need to figure out their way into this next zone as well.
I hate to say it, but I think that could very well spell the end when it comes to TYK could still technically maybe slide in that 20 spot, I think, for regional finals, but they're still gonna have to have a good performance in game number 6. Mama Clubs in a tough spot here as they're getting pulled up on. Fizz 6 also having to find their way in from the northern side of the zone. They're rotating to the south to try and see if they can find themselves a spot.
Autobots, the duo, looking to go up against the solo here of Grape Soda. The thing is, I don't think the man from Grape Soda realizes that Autobots are a duo here with 13 squads left standing. Raz is just gonna have to try and play it nice and slow.
Able to get the respawn from the box itself. I guess if you're playing as a duo, you can't ask for much more. You don't even have to worry about a Moby. You just go and hold the box for a moment and get your teammate Well, I was going to say back in. They saw the light in the sky, though, and that gave them the green light for Gen G. They pull up, they take Autobots out. Now you wonder if maybe the same sort of demise might be here as far as for Grapesoda, who's also sticking the revive.
DCG, one of the teams that we said loves to show up around the ending of group sets. And, well, we got the Kraber in the hand of a lot of people's favorites. That is Rowie with a beautiful 150, as well as teams are starting to make their way into zone here. Q and Rowie is just starting to keep people off here as they are trying to find a spot to play as well in a pretty good end zone for them.
Yeah, we said where they were at on the southern side would be fine. They just have to make sure that they don't overextend, and it looks like Roy might be doing just a little bit of that. So we'll have to keep an eye on the kill feed. Meanwhile, Fizz 6 looking to try and see if they can turn their day around with these last two games. Up with the kill feed, we did see Wolves Esports does fall, so they won't be adding to their tally anymore. Up in that #1 spot, but we did say DCG. I was worried they overextended. Roy able to get back grouped up with their other two.
Go and have a look. We've got a lot of teams trying to make their way in. UB still alive as well. Fizz 6 still alive. Grapesoda getting the full reset here. Also with 8 squads left alive. UB though. Oh, sorry. Grapesoda trying to make their way back in. I do notice the raid portals has a lot more bugs lately than normal.
That was tough too. They were trying to pull into the bottom floor, and it ended up being Gen G that pushes them back away, which means now they're going to have to rotate on foot, and VKG technically will be in their way to actually being inside of zone itself. DCG has been able to do a phenomenal job of holding down the southern side of this zone. Roy has continued to find massive success with the Kraber in the hand. The last two shots, though, did hit the shield. Looks to swing with that one. That's going to be a whiff. I think that might have been a haircut, but it will at least be enough to keep this team that's EDG away from their position.
Gen G now trying to hold the push here from Grapesoda. Grapesoda trying to figure out how to get into zone at the moment. Back to DCG, though, with the Kraber in the hand of Rowie, just trying to get a couple of sneaky little downs here, but well, with Mama Clubs and crew still standing very close by, the rotate in is going to be tough for a lot of these teams.
A couple of teams that are all on this northern side that are fighting. EDG had pushed away from Gen G and into a whole guap of squads that are right on over here. When Bayun falls, your reset ability for EDG becomes almost nothing. DCG does still have that Kraber in hand as Mama Clubs ends up falling out in that 7th position. And Ubi now going to be up on top of the squad that's trying to reset. Doom will now fall back with the rest of the squad.
Yeah, smart by the boys of Ubi. Don't want to overcommit here. Gen G still alive with 6 kills as well. And in a really good spot here, Q. Well, also have advantage out here in the lobby. And it looks like Zicky's having a lot of fun with that sniper in his hands as we speak. 6 squads left. Game number 5. One more left after this to see who is going to regionals for Apac South.
I think I feel like as long as Gen G can keep control of this building, they should be all right. They do have VKG right off to their north, but it does seem like VKG is more worried about EDG, which is sitting across from them. As long as Gen G doesn't push too far forward too quick, they should be able to keep attention more focused on at least 3 of the other 5 squads that are in the lobby.
Oh, damaged by Asia with the longbow. Has 2.6k damage. The man is just having a great time out here at the moment and just kind of stealing kills off people that are fighting. As we can see, though, Edward Gaming's going to get eliminated. VK Gaming now trying to stay alive underneath as well, as we have 5 squads left standing. DCG also have their hands full in this top 5 situation.
It's interesting, DCG ends up pushing onto the backside of Gen G. That technically puts them into the low ground, but that means Gen G has to split their attention. The no-scope, kind of filthy. That's a 150, gives them the opening, trying to push into the high ground. Here is Roy, looks to swing the corner with the alternator, not going to be able to find who they were looking for. And now they're in the low ground, and Gen G just gets free pickets, and DCG is out of here.
Here we go, Ziki getting some KP. Aegis having so much fun right now. We have 3 squads left alive. This is a Gen G victory for game number 5. And it is what we've been asking from this team this whole split. Look at the aggressive gameplay. They played zone the whole game, and all of a sudden they have 13 KP looking for one more, and that is a game 5 victory for Gen G on Stormpoint.
That's a GG for Gen G in game number 5, man. I said as long as they can control that southern side, it was curtains for them, and it looked dangerous for a moment, but when they needed to find the ice in the veins, the trio that has been together for so long here in Apac South does what they do best. They come out on top.
Man, that is a huge game. Asia nearly dropping 4k damage just then, and with Axel still on the board using it to his advantage, the kickstart is so strong. All players like Asia that has such great control with his weapon that he can just absolutely laser dudes in the sky as they're just floating down. So it is such a cool legend to watch on the right people.
4k damage for Aegis is insane, reminding everybody exactly who that young man is. 26 points for Gen G in game number 5, 14 KP, of course, with that first place finish as well. Ubi with a strong game, 9 KP with the 9 placement points as well. VKG, DCG, and Grape Soda rounding out the top 5. And keep in mind, remember, Grape Soda was down to a solo super early, so to be able to come out and still be able to put up a pretty strong performance with a sub nonetheless, got to give him credit where credit's due.
Well, this is where it gets very, very interesting moving forward for this last game, because this is where it all comes down to for teams like Dog Red, teams like TYK, teams like Weibo. This is their chance now to hold their spot for regional finals. And well, at the moment, it's close, but one bad game right now, Q, it gives a chance for 2C1M, Black Hole, Edward Gaming, DCG to just have one big game and all of a sudden push this team outside the top 10. And well, that means GG's to them and back to PLQ to be able to make their way back to Pro League for Split 2. We're going to have a look at which legend though is getting banned here for our final ban of today.
Let me see it. Yeah, I thought I saw quite a few Newcastles. I remember seeing 18 of them, but that's what they're telling me. Means no Newcastle going to be on the board for our final go round, not just of Storm Point, not just of match day number 9, but of our regular season play for split number 1. Probably going to be seeing a good fair share of the Rampart, I would imagine. And well, we asked the question after Axel was the second most picked legend in map number 1. Would they be able to find their way through the entirety of the day? The answer, Stoney, is yes.
Yeah, well, Axel stays alive, and we used to say this about Alto. How is she still out here? But all of a sudden, that's not even a conversation anymore, because we have legends out here like Crypto, Valkyrie, Gibby, Mad Maggie, and Newcastle, obviously proving to be a lot more needed than those two legends. But for teams like Gen G, they may have found their new maybe legend composition to be able to move forward in these games, because they looked really insane in that last one just then. And I mean, you're not going to see a Vantage ban, so if Ziki gets used to Vantage, goodbye everybody. And then you have an Axel. If Axel's not getting banned in this region, well, Gen G all of a sudden are back in just, I'm pretty sure Dexter played Bang in that game as well. So yeah, it's scary. Gen G always find a way to be able to put themselves in a conversation away from the rest of the lobby. But we're going to have a look at our top 5 kills and damage leaders here, Q, before we head into our final game today.
I'm going to guess that No Name sits at the top of the kill leaderboard. And yeah, look at that. Still 9 kills ahead of second. slowed down a bit, but I mean, 25 kills through 5 games is impressive. It's Asia's with 16, Sato with 12, and Dexter and Jay tied up at 11. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at those damage leaders here through our first 5 games as well and see how that kind of stacks up compared to the kills.
Now we're going to have a look at the damage leaders after the amount of games that we have had today. And well, it is going to be Jay hitting the 10k damage. And who is this dude? Where is Jay on? Weibo Gaming. So that is JR. Of course it is. Absolutely farming. Fafa 5th sitting 2nd. Gen G Asia sitting 3rd. No Name 4th. And YRV in the top 5. Now what's crazy is Asia only had 2-point-something K damage after 4 games. Sorry, 4 games before. Now all of a sudden he has 6.72k damage. Thanks to the 4k damage they just got in that last game.
Heck of a game to put them up in the conversation. That's for sure. And well, there's our list through 5. Wolves Esports, of course, had the back-to-back on Olympus. And if Gen G can find a way to also go back-to-back to end Stormpoint, depending on how early Wolves Esports goes out, maybe there's a chance for Gen G to pick up their first match point dub of the season so far.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this last game goes. Let's go and have a look at the maps. And I feel like what I'm more impressed of with Gen G is that they went from Cenote straight to Barometer, and they're like, righto, we're staying here, boys. We can get our shield up from here, get your longbows in the hands. We have Ziki on the sniper with the Vantage. And they were comfortable in holding that spot in zone, and they played it perfectly. So we wait and see how it goes here for game number 6. But if that is the Gen G that we get moving forward, that's the Gen G that everyone has been asking for when they get to LAN.
Yeah, everyone wonders what this team would look like if they started prioritizing zone, because man, when you get onto LAN, especially into those winner brackets where you're talking literally top 20 teams in the world, it's just hard living out on the edge. So if they can start to build that into their identity here to end the regular season, as well as one more week into regional finals, watch out. But let's go ahead and see, as far as our compositions, what are teams going to be bringing to the table as we look to take to the skies here one more time for match day number 9.
We wait and see how this looks for these teams. With, well, how many teams do we have left really fighting for a spot? And now, I mean, at the moment, TYK, Weibo, I feel like Dog Red could possibly maybe not make regionals just because of those 2 back-end games that we have had.
Yeah, I'm trying to think as far as where Dog Red is at, if they would be getting enough points to secure the difference, especially with Gen G having taken 2nd place currently, right? Because usually like those top 3 points, you do make that difference in separation of points, but after that, it's just 1 point difference between, you know, 5th and 6th, 6th and 7th, 7th and 8th, so on and so forth. Or well, not 7th and 8th, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know. I think that maybe, just maybe, Dog Red has done enough, but it does look like we're going to be going up towards Wolves, and I don't know who's writing the script, but we got to have a talk.
This is insane. What a zone. I haven't seen one of these zones for a hot minute now. I don't know exactly where it pulls. I feel like it could pull maybe more towards around that lightning rod area, or more north, very far north towards Wolves. But I don't know if you were ever around, what you were around, but if you were ever casting queue when we used to get the command centers that finished right here.
That's the stairway, right, on that backside?
It's right up top. You can only take the zip to get at the back or there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is not a real game.
It is worth noting that also up by Wolves is 2C1M, and the reason that I bring them up, they've had a somewhat quiet day today, but if my memory serves me correct, they were the team that was, I want to say, sitting down in like 22nd going into today. So as long as they can have a decent finish, they'll at least make sure that they can avoid relegation.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. PXX gonna get rid of Autobots as Autobots get eliminated here in game number 6 as a duo. Unfortunate for Autobots, but for them, I'm pretty sure they will have to make their way back through PLQ as well, I think.
Yeah, Autobots currently sits down in 27th with the points. I actually want to give a big shout out to the EA website that's running live points to at least let people know where people are sitting. At least with the live stream, so it lets people at least know where what things are looking like into game number 6, because that does let you know just how much weight is on the table, because things are close when you look between Weibo Gaming, HBNW, and you can even add 2C1M into that mix here for game 6.
Yeah, well, I mean, 2C1M, they're only 12 points away from Dog Red, right? So 2C1M have a really big game here, as does Ubi and Rendang and Black Hole. All of a sudden, Dog Red dropped to 10th. And that is where it gets very, very scary for these teams that are trying to make their way to regional finals. And, well, this is the last game queue for teams to cement their spot.
Esports, we talked about how this thing's pulling off into their direction. So for them, they're just going to be okay with, moving relatively quick. They realize that they're going to try and play the high side of the zone. They'll get to look down the hill towards teams that are rotating towards them as well. And they've got things like Valkyrie already off the board. You don't have to worry about those skyward dives. Fizz6 has had a relatively quiet day today. They're one of those teams that we had mentioned was just hoping to build some sort of momentum before potentially finding their way back in relegation. And, well, it looks like game 6 could be another quick exit for them.
And look at this kickstart, just chasing the team below. That is Fizz6, and well, Fizz6 just haven't had much luck today. Q has witnessed me has done the old ring around the rosy, but Mama Club's looking straight down at him at the moment. I really don't like the chance for Fizz6 to stay alive, and they're going to get eliminated as well. So GG's to Fizz6 for being here every match day, giving their all, but they will have to go through PLQ as well to head back here for Apac South Pro League Split 2.
I'm trying to remember, were they one of our teams that made their way through the opens and for Split 1, right? So I mean, they've been here before. They know what it takes to be able to make their way back to Pro League, and I feel like they showed a pretty decent sense of consistency even in Pro League. They should feel confident heading down in towards relegation.
I'll be honest, I'll be completely honest, I really don't think there'll be much change at all in our region, maybe then 1 or 2 teams.
Yeah, we'll probably be seeing our 8. I feel like that's generally the case across most of the regions though, right?
Like there's XD to Boshu, 2 really good teams in Apac South CC. XD has won 2 weeks in a row to Boshu, King MSG. The BLGS winner, he won last week. So there is some good teams in CC, but the top teams are the top teams, if that makes sense. So it'll be interesting to see how they go against the bottom 8 of the overall here, because they are still so elite in our region. And right now we're watching Black Hole. I don't know how he just lost that. Gapwang staying alive. This is Dog Red, who need to win this queue to keep their dreams alive as well of regionals.
Yeah, they do, and I think unfortunately for HABNW, who just went out in the feed up in the top right-hand corner, I think right now they're on the outside of the bubble looking in, which means they will not be playing next week. Despite the fact they went into the day, I think inside that top 20, DCG looking to keep their as far as run alive in match number 6. They've pulled up, and they'll be able to pull up and finish up the squad wipe on Grape Soda.
All of a sudden, Black Hole now in some trouble. Dog Red also overlooking this situation. We're going to have a look as Rendang looking to try and make their way into the zone as Victory Esports moving on in. The kickstart as well coming out for this team. They're moving in, being pretty aggressive right now, Q.
Super aggressive, looking to try and see what they can find quick, fast, and in a hurry. Might even look to potentially jump across the way. They're not going to look for the lift, but just across the zip line, there is a lone solo that is trying to tuck tail and run. DC says, not today. I've got my kickstart in my back pocket. Breach charge to help me push through the door as well. Your Watson fences ain't going to stop me. I'm going to find you one way or another.
Yeah, they're still chasing. They will not stop chasing either. We're going to have a look as QWQ trying to stay alive. We also will see VC get down that Watson. So there's only one man left standing for Rendang, and they're in a little bit of trouble here as well. Rendang, where were they sitting overall? I can't remember, but at the moment they're sitting 7th in this leaderboard with 16 squads still standing. Round 2 underway. And let's go and have a look at this zone to see exactly where it's pulling, and it is going to be a Zeus zone.
He needs to pull more up towards the north, and you had asked where Rendang was at. They walked into today, I think it was the 18th spot, but it feels like they've done enough. I think you said currently in the 7th position. They'll be feeling confident, at least when it comes to making regional finals. They'll have a relatively rough POI draft, though, probably down towards that 15th, 16th position, unless we happen to see like a TYK or a Weibo still have a strong finish here in map number 6. EDG is one of the teams that when you talk about in the top 9, when you talk about those teams looking for EWC, they're on the edge of that bubble, and they're kind of quiet today. They could really use a strong finish in game 6.
I can't remember the last time I ever seen a Zeus finish. Very interesting. Victory Esports though, getting rid of one of the Ubi members there. That is Avi-san, and well, Ubi down to a duo right now with 15 squads left standing.
I have a feeling over the course of probably not this next zone, but the one after that, we'll see things start to dwindle its way on down. It's unfortunately where they're heading. There's not too much coverage, and again, for those teams that are on the northern side, they have to kind of shoot down at the teams that are rotating up the hill. For DCG, first thing is taking care of this squad that is just inside of this building. TYK, unfortunately sitting on triple blues, playing into the triple purples, but I mean, TYK has been frying today.
They do need to be careful though. This is where it gets really tricky, because the team like DCG love a game 6. May as well call them Michael Jordan when it comes to game 6s here. DCG looking to move on in. Beautiful nades, nice cues coming through. The shots as well from Louis-san, but it does look like Rowie goes down, and I think that might be a third party. All of a sudden, Arm goes down as well. Louis-san needs to try and hold it down. He will get the res, and YRV is going to get out of there as a solo.
This is tough. We had talked about going into today where it felt like TYK needed a win if they wanted to guarantee themselves a spot in regionals. But the way that this lobby is played out, there's still a chance that they could potentially sneak into like the 20 spot, but they're going to need some help from the rest of the lobby for as far as how things play out. I think the important thing for now as a solo, you take no risk. You simply try and play for placement. QWQ could very well be seeing the end to their day, as they've already found one knock here.
Wingman in the hand, beautiful shots. Rowie needs to be careful. They do get down 1. There's only 2 men left standing for QWQ. We'll have to wait to see how aggressive they move in. And when I say aggressive, I didn't realize they'd be that bloody aggressive, as there's only 1 man left standing. But this is what a cleanup by Jack. It's just 1v3 DCG. How the hell did he just do that? Here comes Wolves Esports though to clean it up, and they will, but oh my god. Jack with the 1v3 to get rid of DCG.
What a clip. It will allow for Wolves to pull up, play custodial duty. You get a free KP, and well, that's just more points that add to the tally for Wolves, who will just continue to flex their stuff here in game number 6. I think also keeping in mind that for Wolves, there's a chance that they could very well be playing spoiler for one of those teams vying for that 20th spot of the likes of TYK, Weibo, or maybe even a 2C1M, who I do believe is still technically alive here in game number 6. Gen G, they haven't really found much thus far here in game number 6. They're back to more of playing their edge ways, but well, we know when this team starts fighting, they can get cooking. They got some momentum building in game number 5. Let's see if they can carry it in game 6.
The legend loadout for these guys is just so funny to look at, but as we can see now, moving on in, Avisan needs to be careful. Beautiful shots coming out with the alternator. It's a 1v2 situation. Sato does need to be careful. Beautiful shots. One more man left alive. Sato needs to be careful. Nice little Q through. Oh my god. Does get a crack. He's going to clean it up, and Yubi gets the job. Gets eliminated. Sato with a nice 1v2 there to get the job done.
They will get the job done. We'll be able to recover banners. Can you stay alive?
Oh,
no. TYK will be out in the 12th spot, and they will have to watch and see how the rest of this lobby plays out and hope that they've done enough to clinch their spot for regional finals. Wolves could be in risk of going out over here on this eastern side of the zone as PXX is pulling up for a third.
PXX looking to third party this. Wolves Esports look to be getting eliminated. So PXX helping the situation as Crazy Kong goes down. And well, No Name has been farming a lot today. It's up to him to try and do it himself. And I really don't like his chances with the teams that are above him at the moment, because PXX, they've been pretty quiet, but they definitely know how to clean up a solo. Well, you'd think so anyways.
You'd think so, but there's only 2 players that have pushed down this far towards No Name. No Name might be the beneficiary of the fact that PXX doesn't look to overextend, especially if you can isolate one of these 2 players that are on this side. Unfortunately, though, as you have pushed away from the tunnel, that does give Jackie Chan the chance to be able to pop shots from a distance. So because of that, No Name will now instead rotate towards the south and does have room as well as the ability to at least get one of their teammates back into play.
That is huge. What a play as well. And I feel like they now feel a little bit more confident to maybe push up this hill. Does he have enough time to do this? This is gonna be interesting.
Is he gonna be able to get the respawn? That's the question. And also, will Crazy Kong be able to, I was gonna say get back in and be able to do so healthily was gonna be the following question. At least back into play, maybe? I'm not sure though. Both of the 2 players back together, so I don't think that res is really worth, but it's still one more player left by your side than you had before.
I think these guys are creeping up behind the back of Edward Gaming, or maybe Black Hole. So have to wait and see if they can even get out of zone as well here. Wolves, beautiful shots by Feng Chun YY now. But oh my god! Victory Esports get eliminated. Beautiful longbow shots coming out. Mama Club should clean up the last member. There's only 1 man left standing. 2C1M get eliminated, as do Wolves Esports. We are now down to our final 7 squads. And well, Black Hole look to be in a little bit of trouble. I take that back, because now Dog Red trying to stay alive here. They get eliminated. Edward Gaming, Dog Red gone, Black Hole cleaned it up. We have 4 squads left alive here for our last game of the day.
Dog Red was able to at least get themselves decent placement. Is that going to be enough for them? We'll have to wait and see. For Black Hole, BK Gaming, as well as PXX and Mama Club, all 4 teams that are currently left alive, they are going to be left as full trios. And the only team that doesn't necessarily need to move when this next ring starts closing in is VKG, and they do also have extra protection of this building as well.
4 squads left alive. Kraber Cam for QQ. Let's see what we can get from him here in this last game. He's got a pretty good angle here if he wants to have a look down sight. A lot of boxes in front of him as well, but just pretty slow going here at the moment for our last game.
You're being aimed at.
All going to be about which fight breaks down first. Does seem like we talked about, BK Gaming doesn't need to move in. It looks like PXX has started their rotating, and Black Hole will look to try and also find their position on into this zone. They're knocking on the doorstep of BK Gaming and now going to be sending everything but the kitchen sink their way.
Mama Club's getting eliminated. PXX doing well at the moment. Black Hole need to be careful. BKG still alive. They do have a Wraith Portal up their sleeves and also Kraber on the hand of QQ. And then we know you only need one QQ shot with the Kraber to get this done.
What I really like is because of the fact that PXX was able to isolate their fight on the opposite side with Mama Clubs and wrap it up so quick, they get to push at least onto this fight a little bit, apply a little bit of additional pressure, which should give them the advantage in this 3-team standoff. Unfortunate for VKG, the one spot that initially gave you coverage is now going to be the one spot that you get forced out of first. The question is which way they rotate.
Only one Kraber on the field at the moment, and that is QQ. Let's see what they do. They are going to move into where, well, was Black Hole, but Black Hole have moved back a little bit here. Nice nades coming out. It's going to be careful, QQ. Just kind of trying to find some more real estate to push some teams off.
This direction goes to me.
Like the play by XX, you push VKG back into the building, which maybe gets them to consider pushing out the opposite door. It maybe pushes VKG into the direction of PXX, because whoever doesn't take this first fight realistically should get the clean third party, because both of the two teams that are in that fight are full threes, so nobody should walk away cleanly from that. We've seen XX do a great job of applying pressure here. We'll be able to send another Q their way on to VKG, and well, I think VKG, yeah, are now going to wrap the opposite way, and they're going to send the direction of PXX.
I kind of like this play. Oh, maybe not. Oh, no, maybe not. Oh, maybe not. Now he needs to be careful. I don't know how much time he has to heal. So he's going to have to go back into... Try and stay alive. We've got a little bit of Wraith Portal gameplays at the moment, but Black Hole really on the driver's seat at the moment as QQ still just doing QQ things at the moment. Kickstart will come out. VK Gaming will get eliminated. This should be a Black Hole victory. Nice. Watson Pylon coming out at the right time. PXX now down to a solo, and it is going to be a Black Hole victory for our last game of group play for split number 1.
The big dub for them. Big exclamation point to their splits. Unfortunate for Black Hole is they will be going down to relegation regardless. But you did mention, Sony, for the teams that were potentially facing that threat, to be able to finish with the confidence that Black Hole does in this lobby, especially with so much being on the line, will have them surely exuberating some confidence moving forward into that relegation. But talk about a pop-off game. 15 kills, a 27-point game is huge.
Massive, and well, definitely one of our best teams. Even if they do go back to PLQ, we will definitely most likely see this team back in split 2. Black Hole getting a huge victory with 27 points. PXX second, VK Gaming third, Mama Clubs fourth, and Dog Red rounding out our top 5. And we'll go and have a look at the overall leaderboard. And well, once again, Wolves Esports walk away with another match day victory.
Is the third place going to be enough for TYK? And that's going to be the question, right? They looked like going into the day we're going to need a win in order to be able to clinch themselves a spot into regional finals. But I can't help but look towards teams like HABNW, teams that were just inside the bubble going into today. They're only going to pick up a couple of points, which maybe, just maybe, left the door open enough for TYK to punch a ticket to regional finals.
Well, while we wait and have a look to see what the ALGS final standings are, we better go and see which 5 members today had led the way for kills and damage queue. And well, No Name is going to lead the way with 25 kills for the day. We have Asia sitting 3rd, Sato 4th, and XXFPS rounding out the top 5. We'll go and have a look at our damage leaders as well. And well, does look like Jay is going to lead the way here for damage. That is JR. I'm pretty sure that might be Shayo that is 3rd with damage. No Name sitting 2nd, Fafa 4th, and Genji Asia rounding out the top 5 queue for our damage and kills leaders.
I'm trying to think, that might be our biggest gap between 1st and 2nd for damage that we have seen all season. Quite an impressive day for JR compared to the rest of the lobby. But there it is on your screen, your 6 match winners, 5 different teams. And I'm looking on my screen, and I am just hoping for Dog Red. After starting off with a dub, you felt like you were off to a hot enough of a start. Were you able to secure enough points to punch your ticket into regional finals? Because is this what they're sitting at now, or is this what it was before? No, this is what they're sitting at now, right?
Mm-hmm. So if this is correct, Dog Red have made it in with TYK. Goat gets pushed out with Veneno.
Weibo falls just short, huh? By a point. A 3-way tie, by the way, technically for 21st place, if that score holds correct.
Oh wow, that means Veneno go back to PLQ if this is correct.
I was about to say, you have one of those teams off of a tiebreaker, which we'll have to see if Veneno is the one that loses that tiebreaker, if that's correct. But imagine being tied with 2 other teams and being the one that gets sent to relegation. That's heartbreaking.
So if correct, HABNW, TYK, Dog Red, Mama Clubs, TEC, Rendang, Aram, Relove, BCG, Yubi, Wolves, S8UL, VK, Genji, PXX, Havoc, RRQ, Orchid, Edward Gaming, and Victory Esports are going to be the 20 teams that you guys will be seeing play next week in regional finals for their chance to cement a spot in Paris. That is insane. What a 20 team lineup right there.
And I think it's worth noting, we had talked about going into the day, and I feel like we've been focusing a lot where we should be focusing, which was towards that 20th place cutoff. Because again, setting the stage for regional finals is what's most important. But you had talked about at the top of the day, was there a chance to see Gen G restore to what we're used to seeing them in, that when it comes to their form here in Apac South? And not only did they get a top 2 today, but when you look at the overall standings now heading into regional finals, like you wouldn't be surprised with Gen G being within the top 4. You know what I mean?
No, and I mean, this is where we expect to see that team. You know what I mean? So in the top 5 for our region, yes, they still have a lot to do because they don't want to come out in regionals and have a stinker, because at the end of the day, those points do go towards your overall. So the top 7, your top 5, you know, that's what you're looking for here, especially to make it to Paris. The thing is, though, with VK already cemented a spot, and say, I don't know, BCG win next weekend, we will only be taking the top 7. I'm pretty sure. No, all the way to Orchid. Is that right? Yeah, it is. So Edward Gaming wouldn't make it, which is crazy.
Which is insane. And I mean, I think what that also really goes to show is how tight that race is going to be for that 9th spot if a team in the top 8 ends up winning, right? Like right now you have 3 teams within 2 points for 1 spot. And you've got a full match day ahead of you, which is regional finals, which doesn't end until someone picks up a dub on match point, which means like you can't play the first 4 games and be like, oh, I'm sitting in X spot, I feel safe, because you never know when the series is going to end.
Well, exactly. And well, I feel like this is definitely what our scores are going to be heading into regional. So that means Inside the Ring, Grape Soda, QWQ, Autobots, Black Hole, Fizz 6, 2C1M, and Veneno will be heading back to PLQ to make their way back for Split 1 Pro League. Very, very interesting overall standings queue as we have it. And that is all we wrote for our regional game days. Man, it's been so much fun. We really do appreciate everyone that has shown the support. Shout out Wig as well today with sharing, doing the stream together. Absolute bloody legend, helping Apac South as much as he's done. He helps every region as much as he does. So everyone go and show so much support to Nice Wig because we bloody love him. But for us, Q, that is it. We will be back here next Saturday to see which team. I'm pretty sure it's a late one next Saturday too. I don't know if it's the exact same time. I think we start at 6 p.m. or something next Saturday. I could be wrong. But
mine's showing same time, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But we'll be back here next week for regionals. We really do appreciate, once again, all the support. If you're watching over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching here at Twitch, hit that follow button. If you want to keep up with all our socials, follow the Twitter. There's so much that is happening at the moment over at Battlegrounds HQ, and we really do appreciate every single one of you that shows up. Q, send these guys home, and we'll see them back here next weekend.
And make sure you guys are tuned in next week. Again, big shout out to all of our watch parties who tune in with us over here in Apac South. Make sure y'all are locked in next week. And until we catch you guys back for the next one, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all, that's Stoney. I'm Q. For the rest of the crew here from the front to the back, y'all have a great rest of your week. Peace. We'll catch you next week for regionals.
Let's go.